Andrew Wilson. Welcome back to the Killstream, sir.
Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Merry Christmas. I think Orthodox Christmas is a little bit late, though, right?
It is, yeah. But still, we're coming up on it.
Yeah,
And
it's still not too far away. Yeah,
yep. So
yeah.
anyway, how's life? How's everything going over on Rumble and the Killstream?
It's going great. It's going great. We have what about 750 here on the main channel, and probably about another 100, 150 elsewhere. So, pretty big show today. Building back up, rebuilding season. I've called it here, Andrew. You know, I have had a lot of scandal, I guess you could say, this year.
A
Yeah,
bit.
just a little. Normal year for me, I guess, in terms of that. But been building back up and been enjoying it, and lost a bunch of weight too. So enjoyed that as
Yeah, I
well.
saw that. I saw it. So it is actually okay to say you're half the man you used to be.
Yes, yes. I'm at 180, down from 277 last year. So
Jeez. What was your
yes.
goal weight?
Well, originally it was 186, but I kind of want to get about 160, 165. But I got the weights here, so I got to put on a little muscle too, because I've lost almost too much now, or I've lost a little muscle too. So do I have the dumbbell here? Yeah. I got them in today, so that's a super chat gimmick now as well. But I got it to also lift off air too. But yeah, so we're waiting on Stardust here, and she. Oh, we don't have to wait long. We don't have to wait long. All right, let me change the layout here. There's Stardust. Okay.
Hi.
Hello. How are you doing?
What happened to
Good.
that whole thing where you used to be in the middle and shit, and the other
Yeah.
two were big?
So I have a panel like that, but um, it's just too much trouble to set up now, and I think some of the links on there might be outdated, so I just roll it like this now. But I do
Gotcha.
still have, you know, the fancy one where I'm in the middle,
Yeah.
and yeah, I like that one too. But this one works just fine. But I'm glad you mentioned that because I've thought about trying to bust it out today. But
I always
uh,
liked that for blood sports, man. It was always fun to
yeah,
watch it back.
yeah, you know what? Okay, you've convinced me. I'm gonna dust the mothballs off that thing and get it back out and figure out what I need to do with it. Yeah, we had
Remember
some
that whole
epic
kill
ones.
stream thing? Like you had that there was a certain brand of music that you had playing, then
Yeah.
you'd scream it's the kill stream in the background. But then when it would come up, it was that verse with you in the center. That was fucking perfect, man. That was like, we know there's gonna be blood sports tonight. I love
You're
that
making
shit.
me smile. You're making me smile. I have a little bit of a flair for the dramatic when it comes to these type of events. But I welcome you. Now, Stardust just came in. Hello, Stardust.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Very cool. Thank you. Feliz Navidad here in Merida, Mexico. Now, so we're talking Hunter Avallone, and you guys both have been in a blood sports debate, so-called blood sports debate here on the Kill Stream. You know that I kind of just break it up, maybe interject here and there with a question or a point or something like that. But it's mostly the participants that kind of drive the conversation because I think that's really what people want to see. They can listen to me talk, hours and hours a day. So that's kind of how it works. If you would like to start off, you can. It doesn't really matter who starts here. Would you like to start?
Andrew, why don't you go first?
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I have an opening statement here.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, go
Um,
ahead.
So I wanted to dive into that. By the way, nice to see you, Stardust. How you
You
doing
too.
this evening? So appreciate you coming out for the debate, and I appreciate Ethan Ralph hosting it and inviting me very much. And I'm looking forward to having some good old fashioned blood sports on the Kill Stream. One of the places where I got my start in the entire arena. So that I still have a soft spot there, though me and Ethan have had our back and forth. There's still a bit of a soft spot there.
One or
So
two. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, moving back into this, the curious case of Hunter Avallone isn't particularly curious to anybody. For those of you who are unaware, let me give a breakdown of Hunter, which is somewhat comprehensive so everybody's on the same page. Hunter started his YouTube career being part of the Con Incorporated gang, PragerU, and others. He made low IQ videos and attached himself to the anti-SJW wave that made many YouTubers famous between 2016-17, leading into 18, finally crashing in 2019. This in turn led to the great purge of YouTube, getting rid of most right-wing thought leaders and causing Avallone to panic, sensing his gravy train was about to be over. By 2020, Avallone completely flipped his political position, supporting Biden for president. He flipped every single one of his political positions. The man is the definition of a grifter and a scumbag with zero convictions of any kind. For those of you who are unaware, Avallone is broke and divorced, living in a rundown shithole somewhere out in West Virginia, I'm told. His wife, Carissa, left him due to his inability to sexually satisfy her, or so the rumor has it. She convinced him to do OnlyFans prostitution content, which he did, and after leaving him, decided to engage in group sex and a gangbang with multiple black men and a camel. No, I'm not fucking kidding. That all happened. His career death spiral is still next level. His latest escapade, which I call Operation Human Shield, sees Hunter Avallone become the rebound for a mentally ill woman who just broke up with a mentally ill man. As if that wasn't poor enough decision-making on Hunter's part, he then decided to taunt and talk shit to this mentally disturbed individual. Only this time, it appears, Hunter's antics caught up with him. This lunatic had planted a set of AirPods in his new Squeezes suitcase. Her overnight bag of condoms and shame also included these tracking devices, which he then proceeded to follow the signal of to end the life of one Hunter Avallone. Not to be outdone by his previous stupidity, he talked shit to this lunatic who showed up armed to find an unarmed and totally helpless Hunter. Hunter did, in that case, what most rational men would do, of course, and stood there fucking slackjaw as his new best friend pulled out a shotgun and blasted through a sliding glass door, just narrowly avoiding making his new squeeze permanently in need of a one-legged partner for all future potato sack races. Luckily, Hunter did the most courageous thing he could and shouted and screamed, "Run," while running away, and retreated to his back deck where he recorded his now bleeding beloved holding on to his blood-soaked sweatshirt as he panicked, waiting for the police to get there. That's the saga of Avallone, a coward and a fucking moron. And with that, I would absolutely love to get into this with Stardust.
Go ahead, Stardust. Whatever you want to do for your open.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, thank you as well, Andrew, for engaging in this with me, and thank you, Ethan, for having me on. I, regardless of what Hunter's past is, regardless of like what his ex-wife does, right? Like, I don't really care. I will be like the first one to say I'm not a huge fan of the way that Hunter debates. I don't really like his style, right? That being said, I think that this incident is pretty cut and dry. When you're looking at what experts say about surviving an active shooter, they give 3 steps, right? Those steps, well, not 3 steps, 3 options. Those options are run is number 1 and the most optimal one that they all advise for you to do. And by run with purpose, run with a plan. And the point of running is to get away from the active shooter. Option number 2 is hiding. Not as optimal as running, but if you have no other options and you have an option to hide, that is another thing that you can do. Then the third, the least recommended one, the one that they say to do only in last resort situations, is fight. And even in the fight situation, you are not just going in guns blazing. You are setting up an ambush. You are making sure that the person who is coming after you is walking directly into your path. According to Cade Courtley, a former U.S. Navy SEAL, who wrote a whole guide on this whole thing. He says, as soon as you hear shots, the first thing you must do is remove yourself from the immediate vicinity of the source of the gunfire, which is referred to as the kill zone or the X, and do so without hesitation. If there is no safe escape route, you must find a good hiding place. As you move away from gunfire, create obstacles after you that make it harder for the gunman to follow you. Lock and barricade doors, silence cell
Like your
phones.
girlfriend?
After
Couldn't
finding
help it.
after finding a hiding place, prepare a defense plan. Finally, fight. Fight is only as a last resort. You should fight. Even in this scenario, there is strategy. Even if armed, you must have a strategy. Cade Courtley, again, former U.S. Navy SEAL, says it's best to try to capitalize on the shooter's lack of discipline or training and attempt to set an ambush. The best ambush is one in which your target ends up in the exact location you want them in. They should be walking right into your trap. Now, just to give some background on the incident itself, Holly had recently broken up with Conrad. They had been dating for 11 some years. She had alleged that there had been some abuse in the relationship and that he would have scary swings in temperament like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In any other scenario, you know, we would say like, let's wait it out and see. I think the dude showing up with a gun probably is pretty indicative of that being generally true. She traveled across the country to see and stay with Hunter. Shortly after arriving, she discovered Apple AirTags that Conrad had planted in her luggage so he could find out where Hunter lived. Conrad had made threats to kill Avallone prior to this, as Holly and Hunter slowly grew closer over the span of 3 months. And you know, yes, he had made threats to kill Hunter. At the same time, I can see, you know, people say that they're going to kill people all the time. But you know, it's a hard situation, right? You never really know what's going to happen. So 5 days after discovering the AirTags, Hunter received a call from his landlord. And apparently there had been a man loitering around the building, trying to get in, saying that he was friends with Hunter. Hunter and Holly were apprehensive about that and probably uncomfortable with it. But they carefully walked down the stairs of their apartment building and peered out the apartment building's glass door. And that's when Conrad suddenly entered the view carrying a shotgun. He advanced towards Hunter and Holly. Hunter, as most people are in a survival situation, and let me remind you, who is the wrestler who said everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth?
That was Mike Tyson, the boxer.
Mike Tyson. And what was the line right after that? Like a rat, something like a rat, they freeze and you know, and basically that's what happens. But so Hunter in that moment was kind of trying to understand what was happening. Holly guessing what Conrad might do, and an incredible act of bravery, sprang into action and stepped in between Hunter and Conrad. And then Conrad started unloading around, and Hunter and Holly fled up the building. Holly was struck with a ricocheting slug just outside her right kneecap, and also glass shrapnel also injured her. She was bleeding as they ran to the apartment and locked the door. Now, in this situation, they've already done the two things that Cade Courtley has advised in his guide, right? Run and hide. So they fled up the stairs of the apartment building. They ran into the apartment and they locked the door, right? From that point forward, they moved to the apartment's back porch and they barricade themselves there, right? That again, moving to a further location and setting up a second obstacle there, right? And so there's the obstacle of the apartment door being locked. Then there's this other obstacle of the barricaded apartment back porch. And because it's outside, that is a good thing. In a lot of these guides that they talk about surviving an active shooter, they talk about moving to a place where people can rescue you. So they move to the back porch, they call 911, and Hunter tries to stop the flow of blood that Holly is having with his sweatshirt. A few moments later, Conrad is aggressively pounding on their apartment door. He is trying to shoot the door open. At some point during the altercation, Hunter turns on his phone to record. In the recording, you can hear officers arriving, screaming at Conrad to surrender, heavy gunfire. At some point, Holly texts Conrad, and Conrad ends up shooting himself, right? Now, in this, like, yes, it may not look like the most optimal thing, or it might not look like the most heroic thing, but they are following everything that most experts say to do in an active shooter situation. Now, if you want to ask me, I think the debate question is Hunter a pussy? I don't think so, right? I don't think he's a pussy. If you want to ask me, is Holly a fucking hero? Absolutely, yeah. I would say so. I think she's a hero. I think she, you know, she's a badass. But I don't think he's a pussy. So.
All right, go ahead, Andrew. You can start the back and forth, the dialectic here.
Okay, I did interject. I know it was bad form. I did interject.
No, I know.
I couldn't help it. I
really
couldn't help
shouldn't
it.
interject like that.
I shouldn't, but it
open.
was fucking
I
hilarious.
know.
It was.
I can't stop
Okay.
it,
Okay, so what did you say this Navy SEAL's name is? Cade Courtley?
Courtley. I can
Courtley.
send you the link to
Cade
the
Courtley. Well, I just want to know, it's pronounced K Courtley?
Cade, I believe.
Cade. Like CADE?
Yeah.
Okay. What does Cade Courtley say about talking shit to crazy people on the internet and fucking their ex-girlfriends just after they broke up with him? What does he say?
It wasn't just
what is
after.
the tactical advice of
So
Cade
here's the thing.
for talking
Holly-
shit? Hang on, let me ask
yeah.
my question. What is the tactical advice from Cade on humping a deranged lunatic ex-girlfriend just recently after a breakup and then taunting the guy? What is his advice there, Stardust?
Okay. So just to address what you're saying, Holly herself has said that that's not true, that Hunter was not talking trash to Conrad, and that this did not happen days after they broke up. Hunter and Holly had began a friendship, and over the span of 3 months, they slowly grew closer, right? It's not like he started fucking her the day after they broke up.
So he
It's
never
not what
challenged.
happened.
So he never challenged this guy to a debate
I'm sure he has.
over
I don't know.
abusive relationships.
Let me interject.
I don't know about that.
Let me interject here because I just want to get the timeline right, because we covered it on the show. And again, I'm not taking a side in this debate, although I have my own opinions. But there was a picture of her and Conrad out. I guess it was like sometime in October, and then later in October, she, I guess, officially or at least publicly got with Hunter. Now, is it being said that she wasn't with Conrad when that picture was taken, or what? What's
No,
what's the deal?
I think her and Hunter had started a friendship, but it was not until like the end of 3 months that they started to like kind of develop a relationship.
So I guess all I'm trying to say is maybe we could get like an agreement on this. I don't know actually, but how long was she broken up from Conrad when she got with Hunter? Now, I've said 11 days on the air because it was 11 days between that photo and when she said that. But if she wasn't still with him, then
That's the information I also got.
Yeah,
was about 11 days.
I don't think it was. I think it was longer than 11 days because again, it was over the span of 3 months that Hunter and her.
Was she with the guy while she was talking to Hunter?
No.
How do you know? How do you know that?
They've said as much.
Yeah, but so what? See, right?
I mean, I have to take people at their word, right?
That's why Ralph's pushing back in the timeline. He's like, why is this picture here?
I just want to get it right. I'm not trying to take a side. I just want to,
right. So they were together for 11 years. They did live together, right? It's not that out of the ordinary, even after having broken up, especially if they still live together, for them to have had a picture together, right? So.
Yeah, right. You could be right. Yeah, that's just what the general belief is, I guess. So I'm not saying that was right. I just, if you knew, that's why I was asking. All right, go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
Anyway, my question still stands. What is the proper etiquette? Do you think that Cade would recommend being the rebound of a chick who's coming out of an abusive relationship with a what she would consider a dangerous man? And then Hunter talks shit to this guy. Do you think that was wise decision making, Stardust?
Again, they've said that they didn't talk shit to him.
Yeah,
so.
well, Hunter says differently in his tweet. He says this guy thinks getting into a fight with someone over the phone justifies them trying to shoot you with a fucking shotgun. Those were his exact words.
Do we know what he said
he seems
on
to be
the phone?
making the claim there. And then in his follow-up video, which is hence deleted, he explained that they had back and forth live on air. That actually happened live. He had a back and forth with him. So if he's taunting this guy, which apparently he was doing, right? Don't you think that your Navy SEAL who you're quoting would say that's probably a bad fucking idea?
I would agree with you. I think that it's a bad idea to taunt somebody, but that still doesn't excuse this dude showing up with a fucking
Didn't make
gun
a justification,
yeah.
But rather I'm giving a descriptor for the course of events first. That it's not all just black and white. It's not, ooh, Hunter, the poor victim, had no idea what he's doing. The guy who is notorious for talking shit about people and then not being able to back it up, backing down from every single debate from anybody who's competent to debate him, to backing away from basically every sort of confrontation imaginable. Why are we to assume that he wouldn't do the exact same thing in this instance, talk shit to this guy so that his new squeeze thinks he's a big tough guy, and then the dude shows up and he bit off a little bit more than he could fucking chew?
I think there again, like the only thing that I can see where he did talk trash about him, and I'll take your word for the video, but I don't know what happened in that video. But the one thing that I can see is that maybe he talked trash to the guy on the phone. It's still, I still don't know what to say about that. Yeah, is it inadvisable? Sure, but how does that change the situation where they were actually in the incident where this guy showed up with a gun? The incident with the gun, he still followed the protocol.
No, he didn't follow any protocol. He ran like a fucking coward. But before we even get into that, right? Let me explain a couple things.
Running is the optimal thing that you're supposed to do.
No, well, listen, I've been teaching self-defense for the last, I think, 12 years.
Yeah, but
I'm
being in a
stop.
self-defense
Let me finish.
Okay, all right, fine.
Okay, so I've been training this for years. You can literally, I mean, it's not hard to find, but I've been an FFL holder for most of my adult life, and I've taught concealed carry training from everything to police officers to prison guards. I know a bit about what I'm talking about. Let me explain this to you so that you understand. Somebody who's well versed in defense, especially against guns, knows this. The first thing that you're taught, the best way to defend yourself with a firearm is never get in the situation to begin with, ever. And the best way that you don't do that is you don't go looking for trouble, and generally, trouble doesn't find you. Okay? That's the way that works. So don't go looking in dark alleys. Don't be taunting people. Don't be talking shit to people while you're armed. That's generally speaking a very bad idea. Best way to avoid trouble is not to get involved in it to begin with. So you're telling me, well, wait, after the Hunter had talked a bunch of shit, taunted this guy, the guy shows up, he's mentally deranged. Then he did the right thing, which happens to be the panic protocol. So he's unarmed. What else can he do but run? Well, to kind of quote Unforgiven, the movie, I guess he should have armed himself before running his fucking mouth, right? That's usually the smart thing to do.
I think the average person does not think that somebody is going to actually show up with a gun. Like what are the odds, really, right?
The average person doesn't think they're going to get in a car accident.
I won't disagree with you that it's inadvisable, but a car accident is significantly more likely than somebody showing up to your apartment with a gun.
Well, likelihood has nothing to do with the preparation for the worst. In fact, if you were to, for instance, go out hiking, your chances of having a major injury are not very good. They're just not. But most hikers carry a first aid kit with them to take care of heavy injuries. Same thing in a vehicle, you carry a first aid kit. In other words, you take mitigating actions in case the worst happens. Inside of a vehicle, for instance, your chance of getting a flat tire probably aren't very good, but you probably carry a spare tire with you and a jack. The same thing applies here. A firearm for personal protection is the exact same thing. It's like a condom, right? I'd rather have one and not need it than need it and not have one.
Right. We can say that he should have had a firearm, but the fact of the situation is that he didn't have one. And in every guide that I've seen in dealing with an active shooter situation for a civilian, not for people who work in prisons, not for people who are police officers, for civilians who are in these situations, the number one thing that they advise is for you to evacuate yourself from the situation where the gunfire is happening. And that is what he and Holly did.
Yeah, but that's not my issue. And that's not the argument that I'm bringing to the table. I'm not bringing the argument to the table that Hunter should have rushed at this guy when he pulled out a firearm. Okay. Though also you should probably give that same criticism back towards his woman who you called a hero. Interestingly enough, for not following the protocol and throwing herself in front of him.
She still followed the protocol.
How did she follow the protocol? By jumping in front of the active shooter. She
stepped in between Hunter and Conrad.
So that's not following the protocol.
She still fled when she still fled when they were fleeing. So
yeah, I know, but she didn't follow the protocol, right? The protocol is to just flee, but yet she's a hero, interestingly enough, in your eyes, because she didn't follow the fucking protocol, Stardust.
No, she still followed the protocol. You can step between people and still flee.
Okay, so Hunter says that as he was fleeing, and this is directly from, let me pull up the source here.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole ton of these stories which were written. 1 second.
That's fine.
Okay, so this one's coming up from the Daily Voice, but there has been many more mainstream outlets who basically all copied the same story. In this, what is quoted is that she jumped between Hunter Avallone to allow him to flee, thinking that this guy would not shoot at her. Mm-hmm. That's what she thought. That's why she did it. So she would not be following the protocol that you have laid out by this guy. She did the opposite, and yet you praise her as a hero for not following the protocol. Seems like you want to have your cake and eat it too.
So what I'll say is that she may have not initially fled as quickly as she should have. Sure. But she still jumped in. She jumped in front of, she jumped in between them, and she still did flee with Hunter after that.
Yeah, but she didn't. Your whole argument here is to say, this protocol, which is in place by this Navy SEAL, which says flee immediately when shots ring out. This is what you should do.
Not
this
immediately,
is what
but flee with
However,
strategy.
Well, when should you flee?
Flee. Well, no, flee with, with intention and with strategy, right? But not like just flee, like, with no.
Yeah, that's not. Then it's not the protocol. And I'm looking at this protocol. I think it's the same one, which is why I asked for the name. And it says flee immediately from any and all active gunfire, because you don't really have a prayer of stopping it. That seems to be what the point is that he's trying to make here. And yet, interestingly enough, you claim that the person who did not follow the protocol was the hero. You just make it the excuse for the person that did follow it, so he didn't do anything wrong because he followed it. Interestingly enough, your critics would say he should have been the one to jump in front of her instead of the opposition. And yet you think, for some reason, the critics are wrong, even though you're praising her as the hero for doing the exact same thing.
She still fled, Andrew. Like I don't know how to make you understand this, that she may have jumped in between them, but that doesn't negate the fact that she fled after that.
Yeah, for how long though was she in front of him?
Like this
What
probably
made it?
happened
What
over
made?
the
In other
span
words,
of
what made it
seconds.
heroic? What made it heroic? That's the question.
Because I think while Hunter was calculating what was going on in this situation,
She acted.
well, yeah, and then honestly, you should calculate, right?
She acted.
Yeah, she acted, but it doesn't like when people are in these situations, most people are not they're not like built for these situations, right? We have to acknowledge that these are not police officers, these are not trained prison guards, these are not people.
Is she a trained police officer?
She's not, no, but
yeah, but she acted.
Sure, everybody's going to act differently though in these cases.
Yeah, and he's going to act like what while she acts like what? He's going to act like a pussy while she acts like a hero.
He was not a pussy though. He did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Then why is she the hero?
She I think anticipated already that this guy had it out for Hunter, and so she stepped in between them as a barrier. But it doesn't mean she didn't run. That's also ran.
What made her the hero, though.
She also ran, though.
Yeah, I get that she ran, but what made her the hero in your estimation was that she stepped between the shooter and Avallone. That's what made her the hero in your estimation. So, from the prism of his critics, when they say what makes him the coward is that she stepped between him and the shooter versus him stepping between the shooter and her. And by the way, my expectation, if you were in a similar situation, I know Beckett pretty well. I don't know if you're still with the guy or not, but I would fully expect that he would probably want to be the one to step in front of you while you fled, right, Stardust?
It might happen that way. But at the same time, like, if this happened with you and Rachel, and it happened to be that Rachel stepped in front, I wouldn't think of you as a coward. Just because somebody does something heroic doesn't immediately make the other person a coward. That person was still doing what they were supposed to do.
He froze and he didn't act. She acted, and then he fled while she stayed behind. That's what the story. That's what the story says.
She ran as well.
She ran after he was already fleeing. He was shouting, "Run!" Then she finally did. Okay, but she stepped in between Hunter Avallone and the shooter. That's what the story is reporting. That's what he reported himself.
I have read, the one, I think the one that I have read, which was like the NY Post, which seemed the most comprehensive to me.
I think that's what everybody else is copying, by the way. It's the New York Post.
Yeah. From what I can tell in that, it was just moments. This happened over like seconds. And basically, Hunter and Holly fled up the building as Conrad was unloading. Right, so it was kind of happening simultaneously. Holly,
you guys kind of froze just a second there. Can you just repeat maybe the last 10 seconds?
So from what I can tell from the NY Post article, as Conrad is unloading his gun, that is when Hunter and Holly are both fleeing up the building. So yes, she did step in between them, but she still was fleeing with Hunter. So as he is unloading, and then it says
he's unloading.
Holly, as Holly was also fleeing, she was struck with a ricocheting slug, and it just right outside her right kneecap. Right.
So before they fled, before either of them fled, there was Holly who was jumping in front of Hunter, with Hunter fleeing first. We can agree that that's true.
Maybe by seconds, maybe by like a second or two. Sure.
Yeah, all it takes is 1 second.
Yeah.
Can we agree that that's true?
I don't. Sure. Why not? I don't know I don't know the exact second by second, but sure, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So, do you also agree that in situations like this, you only have seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the split seconds of calculation in both of their minds, Hunter Avallone is stun locked, can't move, can't even react. Whereas the woman, the younger woman, right, acts instead and places herself in between him and the shooter in those very few precious seconds. As
I don't
Hunter
think that makes
begins,
a,
as
I don't
Hunter, hang on, as Hunter begins to flee first. Now, you can see by the estimation of myself and most men who hear this, we consider this to be the utmost in cowardice.
I don't think that because she did a heroic action, that makes what he did cowardice.
Why didn't he do the heroic action?
Because he was still calculating what was going on, right?
Right.
Holly, on the other hand, has had
Because
11
he was afraid.
Wait. Let me finish, okay? Holly, on the other hand, has 11 years of experience with this Conrad guy, right? For anybody else, they probably are looking at the situation not thinking that this is actually going to happen. But for Holly, for somebody who's been with this guy for 11 years, who knows his mental state, she probably is thinking in that moment and estimating in that moment that she knows what he's capable of. So yeah, she stepped in
Then
front.
how is that heroic?
It's still heroic because
it can't be heroic if she knows he's not going to act, right?
No, not that he's not going to act. What I'm
so
saying
then
is,
she does think he's going to act. So that would
Yes.
be the thing that makes her. So even if she knew that and still thinks he's going to act, the thing that makes her the hero in your estimation is that she put herself and acted by placing herself between Avallone
Yes.
and the shooter. So then
And-
the point is irrelevant as to whether or not she knew him or didn't know him. Otherwise, you would have to say, well, this was a calculated move. There was no heroics about it.
No, calculated moves can still be heroic, right? Hunter probably
Yeah,
was
but if
estimating
you're
whether
saying
he thinks that this, whether
Uh-huh.
he, yeah. So Hunter was probably, what I'm trying to say is Hunter was probably estimating whether he thought that Conrad would actually do something like that, right? He is not the one who's been in the relationship with Conrad for 11 years. Holly is. Holly is the one who probably estimated he is capable of doing something like this and immediately moved to step between them, right? Hunter, on the other hand, didn't have that 11 years of experience with this guy. And even then, in this active shooter situation, they did the right thing when they fled and they barricaded themselves they locked the apartment door and then barricaded themselves on the porch. He still was aiding Holly. He was calling 911. He was following the instructions, trying to stop the flow of blood. And
Because
I still
she had
think
been
that
shot.
Yes, because
Yeah.
she had been struck by a ricocheting, slug, and in that scenario, I think it's still something that a lot of other people would have failed in that situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, but he failed in that situation
I don't
because
think he did.
she interjected herself. Well, here's your logic. You say to me, listen, she knew the guy, right? And she thought because of this foreknowledge that he probably would do something. So what made her so heroic was that she stepped in between Hunter and this guy. But Hunter, who knows nothing about him, just sees a guy there with a gun in his hand looking to hurt them, does nothing, right? This, from my perspective, again, puts Hunter in the much more compromising position than her. If he, just an average person who knows nothing about him, sees him armed and menacing at him and knows that this guy, he sure looks like he's about to hurt him, does not interject himself, put himself between him and the woman, what are we supposed to do except consider that to be the utmost of cowardice? Now, this wasn't even some random chick. If this was maybe just like some broad that he didn't even know, maybe I could even be a little more understanding about that. This was like his fucking girlfriend, though. And this was the ex. And he knew that this guy was likely there because he had been told by the manager of the complex they're in that somebody was lurking around. There wasn't anybody there to do any good towards Hunter, and they both knew it. So he sees this guy. He still doesn't interject himself. You call her the hero, right? But why are you criticizing his critics who say that it's cowardice that she had to throw herself in front of him instead of him in front of her?
Because I don't think what he did is cowardice. I think that most people in that situation would be estimating what they should do. And a lot of people wouldn't have even done the part where they fled, right? A lot of people in active shooter situations end up dying because they freeze on the spot and they don't do anything. Holly's actions—
They run all the time in panic.
No,
constantly.
Wait a minute. What I'm saying is people who die in those situations oftentimes are people who freeze, who don't know what to do. Now, Hunter, he may have frozen initially, but he still did the right thing. He fled. He told Holly to flee with him. When they got to the porch, he was treating her wound. These are still things that even I would not expect the average person to be able to handle, right? The average person, I would not expect them to be able to handle, profuse bleeding, somebody suffering from a gunshot wound. And so I think that in itself.
What? He wrapped a fucking sweatshirt around her leg. What are you talking about?
He followed police instructions.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Let's get him a fucking medal. Holy shit. I can't believe he took off his sweater and wrapped her leg with it. This is amazing. I can't even imagine somebody could do something like that. What are you talking about?
I don't think that's cowardice. I think that he's stuck there. Like a lot of dudes are, I'm sorry, way more cowardly and would have, fled and not even thought about the girl.
Just because other men would have also reacted in a way which was cowardly doesn't make him less of a coward. It was very cowardly of Hunter to, after taunting this guy, right? He has no way to back up what his mouth says, no fucking way at all to do that. When the guy shows up for whatever his perceived lunatic retribution is to this shit talk, Hunter has no way to even protect the chick he's with. So he's talking shit to this guy. This chick is with him. He doesn't even have a way to protect her. And so when this guy comes looking for trouble and they end up in a confrontation, he moves to Operation Human Shield. The chick gets in front of him while he flees, even if it's only seconds before she flees, which I doubt. Okay. That's not the way the story makes it sound. Makes it sound like she threw herself in front to protect him, right? And was trying to reason with him while he was fleeing and running the other direction. And then she fled afterwards after him. It sounds like the perfect combination of cowardice. If this same situation happened to you, let me just ask you this honestly. I know you're going to lie to me, but I want you to tell me anyway, right? Because progressives have to, especially progressive women. But if you were in that same situation and Beckett let you throw yourself in front of him while he ran, even if it was just a few seconds before you did, you tell me your ovaries wouldn't shrivel up and you wouldn't fucking go, God, Beckett, you're such a wuss. You wouldn't say that, honestly?
I am a feminist, so this is a complicated one, right? I don't think so. I don't think that would. I mean, I don't think I would be traumatized by the situation, absolutely. But I don't think that my ovaries would shrivel up, honestly.
And what do you think, Beckett? What about Beckett? What does he say? Does Beckett say, well, this chick should have thrown herself in front of Avallone. It was the right feminist thing. I doubt it, Stardust. He doesn't say that.
I've talked to Beckett about the situation, and he thinks that everybody freaking out about Hunter using Holly as a human shield is fucking crazy, right? Because he didn't use her as a human shield. Did he grab her and like literally put her in front of him?
Well,
no.
He didn't need to. She threw herself in front of him because he's such a wuss.
It's not.
He needed that.
It's not like he had any control of Holly stepping in front of him.
Let me ask you another question. How come when the landlord called him and said that there was a creepy dude walking around with a suitcase, he didn't tell her to stay put while he checked everything out and made sure everything was okay, absent her being with him? Yeah. Why didn't he do that? So, for instance, when I've had a home invasion in the past where they murdered my dogs, my beagles, right? They killed them to break into my gun shop. They killed them both, and then came in the house. I heard them coming in. I instructed my wife to stand behind her bed with the children, firearm in hand, while I went and confronted the intruders with, of course, a nice Remington 1300, my favorite. Well, I'm sorry, Winchester 1300, not my 870. So, anyway, that's how that went. I didn't tell her to come fucking with me to check things out, right? I didn't need my whoopee there to help make sure I was okay. She was supposed to be the last line of defense. So you explain this to me, why it is that he was out with her looking for this guy to begin with.
We don't know the situation. We can say, like, hindsight is 2020. Obviously, like, it would have been wise for them to maybe not even go investigate that. Maybe call the police before investigating something like that. But I will tell you, if that were a situation that Beckett and I were in, there's no way I would be letting him go out by himself. Like, there's just no fucking way.
How do you get a say on let?
I mean, if he's leaving, I'm leaving too.
You say, bitch, sit down and shut your fucking mouth while I go take care of this. There's no let.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no stopping me. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, that it's not happening.
It's so ridiculous. So you think that it's better, right? It's better that he was like, let's go get shot together. That was that was the move, Stardust.
We don't know what the conversation was, and I don't know that. I'm not saying that it's better. I'm just saying from my perspective, I could certainly see myself insisting on going with my partner.
Yeah, but why? So you would insist on doing something stupid?
People do it all the time, right?
So but you would insist on doing something stupid. You would insist on it. You just got done reading me what Cade says. Do you think that Cade would advise you to go on a manhunt for a lunatic who is lurking around with a briefcase together unarmed? Do you think that that's what your Navy SEAL friend would advise you to do?
No, he probably wouldn't. But I
Probably wouldn't.
I probably wouldn't advise anybody to go out in that situation. I'd probably advise them to call 911 first before even doing anything like that, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe, but let's say you call 911 and then you just want to go and have a peek and look around, see if you can find whoever this gentleman is. Or maybe you don't even know that it's that guy. Maybe they don't even know it's that guy. They just assume it, though they seem to have a good inkling that it was, right? So he says, I'm just going to go check this out. You stay here. Don't move. I'm just going to go check things out and see what this guy who's lurking around with a briefcase is doing, right? That makes a lot more sense than going, well, let's you and I go have a nice picnic and hopefully this bag man doesn't show up with his suitcase. You know what I mean?
There's power in numbers, and I probably wouldn't feel comfortable with whoever I'm seeing going out by themselves and doing that. Yeah,
power in numbers. You're unarmed, right? Then what do you think your numerical superiority is to a guy who has a shotgun?
Right. If somebody gets shot, there needs to be. Well, no. Look, if somebody gets shot, it's important to have somebody else there who can support that person and get them to safety.
Yeah, but if they're armed, right, then all it does is present more than one target.
Sure.
That's it. That would be non-strategic thinking. That would be stupid. And plus, not only that, what physical force do you think that a female is going to offer up in comparison to the male? It's going to be very limited.
I'm not talking about bum rushing the guy.
I could also put you in a situation where you're taken hostage because you have limited strength and can't resist. That's like the stupidest thing I could imagine, but you would just insist that you would have to go too. Doesn't that seem like just kind of feminist She-Ra bullshit to you now that you think about it?
No, again, I'm not talking about bum rushing the guy, right? When I say that there's power in numbers, I'm saying if somebody gets injured, it's important that there's another person who can support that person getting them to safety. It's not about me taking on the gunman.
Yeah,
right?
You think that this chick could physically pick up, well, maybe she could pick up Hunter Avallone. but even then, I doubt it, right? What is she going to do? Is she going to drag him to safety? Is she going to hoist him up over her shoulders and run him on out of there?
Hey, all it takes is somebody offering support, right? If somebody can't walk properly, right? It's still important. It's still something that you can do.
Oh, I see. So he blasts Hunter and he's wobbling, and luckily she's going to offer a supporting shoulder so that they can walk very slowly away from this guy armed with a gun.
Well, they didn't walk away slowly, right? They both ran.
But they would have if one of them was shot, right?
He was shot. One of them was shot, and she still ran.
No, but I'm saying in this case, you're offering up the liability, and your counter example is, well, the best thing for us would actually be to go in pairs, because after all, then if one of you gets hit, the other one can give you a supporting arm to help you get on out of there. And it's like, okay, but if they're armed with a firearm, the whole point of that is so that you can clear distance quickly. Okay. Right?
Let me explore the scenario with you. Okay. So Hunter goes out by himself, right? Conrad's main goal is to shoot Hunter dead. So he goes out, he investigates by himself. Conrad shows up out of nowhere and shoots him dead. Then what?
We're frozen again. Yeah, I'm sorry, Stardust, I'm sorry. I missed literally everything you just said. We froze up again.
Yeah, run it back.
Okay. What I'm saying is, if we look at it from that perspective, let's say Hunter goes out by himself. He decides to go investigate by himself. Mm-hmm. We know that Conrad's goal is to shoot Hunter and kill him. So he goes out. Conrad shows up out of nowhere, shoots him, and kills him. Then what?
What do you mean, then what?
Then what?
My assumption...
How is that situation better?
Well, my assumption is that she's still in a barricaded situation unarmed, just like she already was.
Right, but now you've got two people ending up dead instead of one person.
How do you have two? She's still in the same exact situation that she was in.
Himself, right?
No,
so in this situation,
they're still in the same situation that they were in which is a barricaded situation. She's in a better position. She's in a much better position.
She's in a better position, but we're sacrificing the life of Hunter for her, right?
Yeah,
And
but wouldn't if Hunter had done that, wouldn't you call him a hero?
I would have called him a hero, but I still don't think it's the smartest thing in the world to
So
do.
you would have still called him a hero.
It doesn't
right?
matter.
And why would he have been a hero?
Well, because it's like self-sacrifice, right?
Because he did something which was brave, which was the opposite of running the other fucking direction like a
That's
pussy.
not
That's why
unbrave.
Stardust. That's
It's
why you
not
would call him.
unbrave,
Why would you
though.
call him
What
a
he
hero?
did is, wait, just because somebody's a hero doesn't mean what they did was smart.
So is Hunter a hero in this situation too?
In this situation,
Yeah.
I think Hunter did like what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, was he a hero?
I think that he was a great support to his girlfriend. I don't know, like I think Holly was the hero in this.
Right, but in the alternative situation where he tells her, he says, "Listen, you stay put. I'm going to go and grab my balls off the counter and put them on real quick and go confront this guy." Then you would call him the hero. So what changed here? What's the dynamic which has changed here?
It's still actually incredibly stupid because now we know that Conrad ends up shooting himself, but now instead of just Conrad shooting himself, we've got Hunter dead and Conrad shooting himself.
Yeah, but you're looking at that ad hoc. So you're saying we can look at this with hindsight being 2020 and justify the things that were done after the fact because they may have worked out. But that doesn't mean that that was the wisest thing to do under the circumstances. And in this particular case, would have been a much wiser thing to do. And yeah, I think you would agree with me. Tell her to hunker down. If he's going outside at all to figure out who this guy is or who's creeping around his complex, at least tell her to hunker down while he goes and confronts. That's when you say that's brave. That's the heroic thing.
I think it's brave, but I don't think it's smart. I think it's brave, but I don't think it's smart. I think that the smart thing to do is to have numbers on your side.
Why is that smart? If you're unarmed, what do numbers do for you? What does 2 do that 1 doesn't when the other person's armed and you're not?
2 targets versus 1 target. I mean, that makes more work for the person.
What are shotguns famous for? What are they famous for? They're famous for spread. Okay, the shot spreads out. So the more targets you have, the closer they are together, the more people you hit with a single shot.
Sure, but
that's why shotguns are the best thing in the world for home defense because of this reason.
She was struck by the ricocheting slug. We know that, but both of them still survived in this situation.
Yeah, but that was in spite of, not because of.
Right.
So it wasn't because they made good decisions. It's in spite of the fact that they made bad decisions. What they should have done is not gone out at all. Called the police, hunkered in, because they really didn't have any other option being unarmed, but maybe he could have found some kind of melee weapon or of some type to at least take a crack at defending himself. I don't know exactly how that would have worked out, but all of that would have been wiser than going with her to try to confront a creepy suitcase man your manager calls and says is creeping around your house with a suitcase in hand. What do you think's in the suitcase? Would that give you an inkling that there might be something in the suitcase that you probably don't want to see?
I think most people in this situation are not expecting a random person to show up again with a gun to their place. I think the smartest thing to do, I'll agree with you, the smartest thing to do would be both of them to hunker down. The second smartest thing to do after that is for both of them to go out. I don't think one person.
Let's say that the guy had shown up with a bat instead of a gun.
Okay.
I have a bat right next to my door, by the way. By the way, did you drop out?
Yeah. I don't know why that keeps happening, but
that's okay.
In any case, what if the guy had shown a bat instead, Stardust? What if he showed up with a baseball bat? And in that case,
I think that might be your connect. Mine's okay.
I think Andrew's connection might be going out.
All right, let's see. Oh wait, you stalled out. I think it's your internet just.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
But it's okay. You're back now. Just repeat it because we didn't get all that. I was just saying I have a bat right next to my door. By the way, baseball bat.
Yeah. Why? Well, but what if he showed up? What if he showed up with a fucking bat?
So what? The smartest thing would still be for both of them
to do the exact same thing, right?
To hunker down, yeah.
Yeah,
but
then the exact same thing.
The second smartest thing would be both of them going out together.
No, that still wouldn't be smart. Even if the guy just had a bat, still wouldn't be smart. It would not have given them any advantage to have two females confront this guy, right?
Very funny. No, I think that if there's going to be If you're going to go investigate, I think you should investigate in numbers.
Yeah, but do you think that this is a Jason Voorhees movie? That like if there's more than one of you, the machete wielder only gets one at a time,
Well,
or what?
it's certainly not a John Wick movie, right?
I didn't say it was a John Wick movie. Do you think that the tens of thousands of people who successfully use firearms for self-defense every single year, many of them with almost no training, are John Wicks?
No, but again, I don't think that what Hunter did was wrong. I think he followed protocol. He followed what basically every website that's talked about active shooter situations talks about. The FBI itself talks about this, that fighting is the very last case scenario, like last
Well,
resort.
then she went against the protocol. And so you shouldn't call her a hero. You should call her an idiot, right?
Well, I think heroes often are people who do unwise things, right?
So they go against the protocol. So what would have really been heroic of Hunter to do was go against the protocol that you suggest that he follows. That's what would have made him the hero, because that's what makes his chick the hero. So
I
your
still think
argument
that
is
both of
moot and it
them-
makes no sense.
No, I still think that both of them should have followed the protocol.
But she's a hero.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she's a hero for not following the protocol.
For being delayed in it, sure, but
yeah, for not following it.
she still followed it.
No,
She
well,
was
she
just
didn't.
delayed.
She didn't. She actually did the opposite of it. She confronted
She did
the
not
shooter.
confront him.
Yeah, well,
did not
that's it.
confront him.
Yes, she did confront him. She threw
She did
herself
not.
in front of Hunter like this, in front of the shooter. That's confrontation. Yes.
We don't know if it was like this.
What do you think? What do you think a confrontation is? Do you think a confrontation when another person has a gun that you have to like what, physically assault them? What do you think confrontation means in this sense?
A confrontation is like engaging with the person.
That's right.
Stepping in between them is not necessarily confrontation.
Well,
right?
I mean,
she still fled.
she steps
She still
between.
fled.
She steps between him and Avallone.
Did
right?
the two of them
and
flee
she's
or
facing
not?
she's facing the shooter. That looks like confrontation.
Okay. Answer me this. Did the two of them flee or not?
She eventually did flee, yes.
Okay. The three steps in this, or the three options that they say are you can flee, you can hide, or you can fight. She did not fight. She did not hide. She fled with Hunter. She just
no, she
stepped
didn't.
in between.
Hunter fled. She didn't flee. And that's what
Well,
makes
she
her the
didn't-
hero.
She didn't fight, right? Fighting is what I think of when we talk about confrontation.
Yeah, right. She acted as a human shield.
She did not act as a human shield.
Yes, she did. She put herself in the position to act as a shield, a barrier between the shooter and Hunter Avallone.
Okay,
That's
then
a
that's
human
different.
shield.
That's still different than him using her as a human shield, right?
Yeah, that's that's tongue in cheek, right?
It's
But
it's
what
not
I'm
really.
saying-
The
what I'm
distinction
saying
is pretty
is-
important.
Is that she was a human shield. She acted as a human shield. That's why you think she's brave. That's why you think she's great. That's why you think she's awesome. Hunter fled. He ran. That was his first
Hunter did what he
inclination.
was supposed to do.
His first thing was to run and then yell to her to run too. So that means he ran first and knew that she wasn't running. So he knew what she was doing because he was yelling to her to run. And he had already taken off. That's exactly my estimation of what a coward would do. That's what the story says and what he said himself. In his own tweets,
what the
he said,
story
as I was
says-
running, I shouted for her to run.
What the story says is, let me read it for you again since we're having trouble. Let me see here. The couple fled up into their building just as Carricker unloaded around through the glass door. Holly was struck with the ricocheting slug just outside her right kneecap. So again, it's not how you're saying. As they're fleeing up into the building, that is when Conrad is unloading around. And the bullet that ends up striking Holly is a ricocheting slug.
And how is
And
this making
it's
what
not-
I'm saying any less?
It's not even a human shield situation at that point because it's a ricocheting slug.
Hunter's own tweets confirm that he ran first. He didn't even know what was happening. She already threw. She couldn't rationalize it. Okay. She threw herself in front of him, and then he began to run and shouted to her to run. So he had already started running when he started to shout to her that she needed to start running. So her
Sure.
inclination is to protect Avallone, put herself between herself or Avallone and the shooter while Avallone runs away. This is definitively what a coward would do.
A human shield would be if he literally was shooting at Hunter and that bullet went into Holly instead. That is not what happened. The slug that struck her was, again, ricocheting, right? It
Because he
wasn't
was shooting at Hunter.
right, but that it wouldn't. It seems like it wouldn't have changed whether she was stepping in between them or not, because it was a ricocheting slug.
Yeah, but again, that's an ad hoc justification.
It doesn't. It doesn't
What
matter.
you're trying to do is say from an ad hoc perspective,
as a human shield.
Well, you're just saying because circumstances worked out this way, that means that the behavior should have been that. And what I'm saying is the opposite. Even if you can look at it from an ad hoc position and say, well, this happened to work out, right? It doesn't mean that this was not cowardly behavior. It's most certainly cowardly behavior when the woman inserts herself between you and the shooter and knows that the shooter might do something, is why she's doing it, has no faith that you will. You run and then start shouting, run. The only thing Hunter did in this entire engagement was urinate on himself on his back porch and use the biggest bitch voice you ever heard to go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and then wrap his sweatshirt at the behest of the 911 operator. He didn't even think of that himself, around her leg haphazardly to the point where she had to take it off and continue to stem the blood flow herself. There was nothing he did in this situation which was wise or in any way heroic or even good. He not only didn't tell her to hunker down, took her with him. Then when the engagement started, she had to confront him. He took off. And then even when they were hunkered down on the back porch, she's the one looking through the slider while he's peering over the opposite side. So she's still looking for the point of entry where they would be in the most danger, while he's still off to the side trying to peek around the corner. There's nothing this guy did which was anything less than cowardly.
Completely infactual. This is completely unfactual.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
You are wrong because, one, Holly doing something brave does not make what Hunter did cowardly. Don't take away from what she did by disparaging Hunter in the situation. She was still brave in the situation, and that doesn't change the fact that Hunter followed what the protocol was. Now, Holly and Hunter fleeing, like, let's say it's reversed. If Hunter stepped in front of Holly and then Holly was the first one to flee, would you be calling Holly a fucking coward?
No, I'd be calling her a woman.
No, what's the difference?
I'd
Why?
be calling her a woman.
Why?
Because nobody has any reasonable expectation that a female is going to do an act of selflessness like that.
If you care about somebody, you certainly are going to do an act of selfishness. Secondly, Hunter
nobody
and
has
Holly,
the expectation that women are going to sacrifice themselves.
women have that
for men.
expectation for themselves when they love somebody.
No, they don't.
They have that. They do. They
No, they
have that
don't.
expectation for themselves.
Nope.
Do not take away the bravery that Holly displayed that day. To just say that
I don't
Hunter
think it
was
was
a
even
coward.
brave. I think that what it was she thought that she could just talk him down or some shit like that. I don't even think that she was doing anything which was self-sacrificing. I think that Hunter did what was within his nature to do. Without realizing what was going on in the situation, he ran like a bitch, while she thought she could talk the guy down. And apparently
when a Navy SEAL says
was,
that's what you're supposed to do, you're not running like a bitch. That's what you're supposed to do.
yeah, so for the act of self-preservation, but not for the act of doing the right thing or heroism.
It is the right thing.
What makes it right? What makes it the odd? Why do you consider it the non-heroic
would you have been
thing,
happier if Hunter stayed and fucking died with the
No,
guy?
I would have been happier to see if Hunter put himself between the weak people and danger rather than the weak people putting themselves between Hunter and danger.
Okay, Hunter putting himself, we know that Conrad was there to specifically kill him.
Ad hoc.
The only
this
way.
is ad hoc.
Wait, no, we know it. We do know
Yeah,
it.
we know it ad hoc, though. They didn't know it.
When all of the threats were about Hunter, yes.
Yeah, but they didn't know. They didn't know what this guy would have done to her or to him. They didn't know any of that.
I think that, like, if Hunter had stayed, he would have been dead. Like, to be honest with you, I think he would have been dead. And I think that, I think it's remarkable in a situation where there is one guy with a gun and two people who are unarmed. It's the two unarmed people who ended up making it out alive. So to me, I think what they did was the right thing. They both came out on the other end. They both survived. Hunter was not a coward for doing what he was supposed to do, because even Connor has written a whole thing about this, and I can read it to you.
Let me ask you this real quick. if it was a child that Hunter was with, and the child had thrown itself, let's say a 12-year-old had thrown herself between Hunter and the shooter, would Hunter be doing the right thing by fleeing then?
No, obviously not, because
Why?
a child can't make those calculations, right? A child is incapable of making those calculations, and plus you're meant to protect children,
Yeah,
right?
because they're weaker than you.
I think adults make their own decisions all the time,
Yeah,
right?
but what if the child thought that, hey, I think that the best thing I can do because my dad's a wuss is to jump between my dad and the gunman? Do you think that that would be okay in that sense, or do you think maybe Hunter would have shown some backbone then?
I'm sure Hunter would have stepped between him and the child, right? If that were the situation. But like
Why
when
do
we're
you think
talking
that?
about
Why is
where-
there any thought that
if
would be
it's
the
his
case?
kid, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
if
but
it's
I mean,
his kid.
weaker is weaker, regardless of age. So the thing is that obviously this chick is weaker than Avallone, and yet she's the one who steps in front. If it's a child and the roles reversed, then you say, no, wait a second. The right thing in that case to do would not be to flee, but to put yourself between the child and the gunman.
You would still flee with the child, but you would make sure that you're in between the child and the gunman.
Yeah,
right?
so I mean, I think that that's right, and I think that if you're a man, you would do that for a woman too, wouldn't you?
I mean, if like again, it's not like he could control Holly in that situation. She made that choice herself.
Yeah, but he couldn't control a child in that situation. At that point, the
You
best
can
thing,
control a child. A child is very different from a
if the
full-grown
child
woman.
jumps in front, just like Holly did, right, and you yell run, and the child doesn't run, right? It's
You
the
would
same
pick up the child
situation.
at that point.
What's
right?
that?
You would
What?
pick up the child at that point.
Pick them up. What if they're a distance away? What if they're 4 feet away from you? You say
Well,
run.
we know that they weren't a distance away.
Well, they were at least a few feet away from each other. Yeah.
So I think that it's a completely different situation when it is a child. The child is often
Weaker.
going. Well, they're weaker, yeah, but
Yeah.
also they don't have the capacity to think all these things through. They don't know the consequences of their actions. You still want to protect
You
that
think
child.
that young girl knew the consequences of her actions? I doubt it.
I think she knew more than a child would.
How do you know that? Just assume
Because-
it. She's a young dumb girl too. Young and stupid. Doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
Children and full-grown women are very different.
Well, I don't know. Stardust, honestly, the thing is like there's an order of operations here, right? Here's the order of operations. Adult males, they usually go down with the ship. That's like the part of the duty, right? That's
Yeah,
why
but
we
this-
get the big piece of chicken. That's why we get to, put our feet up on the nice big part of the couch, and we get the comfy chair because we're expected to go and confront those midnight noises, and we're expected to go down with the ship. That's why we get treated like fucking kings, is so when situations like this happen, the chick can live, right? And you usually don't. That's the way that works. That's the order of operations, isn't it?
Like I guess in the old way of thinking, sure.
In all ways of thinking. I mean, wouldn't you prefer to have a man who did that to the alternative?
I mean, obviously, you would always want somebody who's willing to
Right.
throw themselves down for you, but I don't
Right.
think what Hunter did in this situation is wrong. Like I think he
Yeah, because you're
was still
using
calculating. Wait, he was still
No.
calculating the situation, right?
No, it's
Like,
ad hoc.
and-
It's not only is it ad hoc justification, meaning it's necessary for you to justify it, but it's also post hoc rationalization. So you're just
again-
like after the fact, you're rationalizing it, and then you're giving what's necessary to the conditions for why it would be good. When if you were to envision this scenario outside of the fact this happened to work, it didn't work out great, but it just happened to work out where the only one who ended up expiring was the bad guy. You can kind of give it some kind of justification. But even if you were envisioning this scenario, you would say Hunter would throw himself in front of the chick. She would run. Yeah, it was a bad fucking day for everybody, but that's how you would consider it to go inside your own head, isn't it?
Not necessarily. Like, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest with you, like, I think that, both of them made that decision. I think in a situation like that, it's very hard for people to really function in that situation. I think that they both functioned in the best way that they could. Was it like optimal? Like, obviously not.
Yeah,
It
you
would
have
been
to have a
nice
set
if-
of balls.
it would
That's
have
true.
been it would have been nice if he had a firearm, right? But he didn't. But the fact of the situation is that he didn't have a firearm. The fact of the situation
Well,
is
he
that
should have
like
had
he
one.
well he didn't
Well,
didn't
should
have
got
one. Okay, he
Before you
didn't.
talk shit to lunatics on the internet, you might want to arm yourself up.
How many people talk shit to lunatics on the internet and
The
aren't
unarmed
armed?
ones, I don't know. Destiny's armed, Vosh is armed. Every major streamer that I'm aware of is armed to the fucking teeth because they talk shit about lunatics
Unless you're a
on the
felon,
internet.
and then you can't. But
And then you can't. But generally speaking, most people I know of who are on the internet who deal inside this space are armed to the fucking teeth for just such an occasion.
Okay.
Because as you know, this is not the type of industry to be in where tons of healthy, well-adjusted people exist who want the best for you, Stardust.
Yeah, no, okay, I agree with you on that, right? But even if he were armed, he still was in that situation. We don't know if he was armed, right? But in that situation, he did not have the arm on him, right?
Well,
And
then
so,
that would be doubly stupid. Could you imagine going out
but
to
there are going to be
fuck around
plenty of
and confront with your
situations.
chick and leave your gun at home?
But
That's like,
there are going to be plenty of situations where people might have a firearm at home, but they don't necessarily have it on them when the confrontation is happening.
yeah,
We
but
have to
if-
like kind of give leeway to people when these things happen, because
Sure,
all of
but-
these situations are constantly changing and you don't know what the situation is going to be.
help
You
me out
can't
here.
predict these things.
Help me out here. Let's assume for a second, you and Beckett were having a quiet night at home watching Grey's Anatomy or whatever boring shit you watch, and you get a call from your manager, and your manager of your apartment complex is like, hey, there's a weird guy walking around with a fucking suitcase, and he's looking for you, and I've never seen him around. He's really creepy, and I think there's something wrong with him. And you go, I'm going to call the police. Do you think that Beckett, if there was a gun in the house and he decided he was going to go check things out, that he would be like, well, I'm going to leave the gun and I'm just going to go out there with just my bare fist and see what this weirdo with a suitcase wants? I mean, does that even make sense to you, Stardust, honestly?
No, I mean, like,
No.
you know, obviously not. No, but again, this is, you know, the situation is what it is. We can, this is again, like, you can do the whole like hindsight thing and be like, oh, well, he should have had a gun. Yeah, maybe he should have, but the situation that they were in at that moment is one where they did not have one.
Yep.
So give an actual solution in that situation,
Okay.
and try to be generous with both parties when they are dealing with a situation where they're both unarmed.
Yeah, but this is always the case when people make horrible and self-destructive decisions over and over and over. They put themselves in the situation to where something like this can happen, and then they cry foul. Now, the thing is that, is there any justification ever for this guy to have shown up and do this to anybody? Of course not. Nobody watching this, nobody talking about this believes that that's in any way, shape, or form acceptable. But we still also need to recognize that this is a great case in point example of fuck around and find out. The worst thing you can do is talk shit to lunatics on the internet, especially if you're banging their ex-girlfriend and they're unhinged and she says that they're abusive. Why would you taunt a person like that? Put yourself in the situation where you'd even have to use the gun. You know what I mean? Like, all of these are just terrible decision after terrible decision, and it seems like you're just totally unwilling to call this guy out on that.
No, look, Andrew, I've agreed with you multiple times that obviously, if it's true that they were antagonizing him, that was a clearly very stupid thing to do. I've also agreed with you, it would have been better for them to have a firearm, right? But I'm just looking at the actual situation as it is. And in the actual situation, they did not have a firearm. They were unarmed, and they did what they did, and they followed protocol. And, you know, and Holly stepped in front. But at the end of the day, they both still came out. They came out alive. And, you know, I don't know that there's much more to say
Well,
there. I
first of
don't
all,
think he was cowardly.
When you say protocol, I've granted it, right? I've just granted it because you want to use this guy's expertise, and I didn't see any harm in granting it for the purpose of arguing with it, right? But just because a person is a Navy SEAL and claims that this is what you should do doesn't mean that that's what you should do. Just so
Well,
you
the
know,
FBI
that's
says
one.
the same thing,
right?
right? The FBI
And
says
two,
the same thing.
Yeah. So what? They, you know what they most often do is they try to cover their own ass. So they're going to give you the advice that puts them in the least amount of liability possible. But the reason that you claim that what this chick did was heroic is because she actually didn't follow that advice, and she went above and beyond and put herself between a person who was armed and a person who was not. And so that's something that people like us can look at and say it's very honorable. That's something that's worthy of praise. And that's why if Hunter had done that, that's what he would be getting, honor and praise. But instead, what we do, especially as men, we're really hard on each other, and we should be, because that's what keeps us on the straight and narrow. And when we see men who instead allow women or children to act as shields for them, instead of them acting as a shield, we're pretty hard on them. We think that that's cowardice. We're going to call it out. We're going to talk some shit, and they fucking deserve it. And that's the way it works. And that's the way it's always going to work. And trust me, your ovaries wouldn't have it any other way.
I still don't think just because Holly did something heroic, that means that what Hunter did was cowardly. I don't think that just because, you know, she did something that you think he should have done, that all automatically he's cowardly, because I think there are plenty of people who would not have functioned well in that situation, who would have done
Including
much
Hunter.
worse.
Yeah, Hunter didn't function well in that situation. He
No,
ran,
I'm saying
and he
that
went
there
on his
were
back deck and he cried and he
people
whined
should
in his
run in
more
that
whiniest
situation.
voice. And when the police told him to give up the sweater, he gave up the sweater and haphazardly tied it around her leg, and it ended up falling off, and she was treating her own wound. She was also looking through the main entry through that slider. You can see it in the video. She's right up against the slider looking for this guy to enter while Hunter's behind a barricaded position. He acted as a coward the entire time. It wasn't even just the beginning action. It was the entire action.
I don't think so. I just disagree with you.
Okay.
I think a cowardly action would have been for him to run and not even like care about Holly, for him to not even care about treating her, for him to like have shut the door behind him and not have her come in with him. Like there are plenty of ways that he could have been cowardly, and none of the things that I would see as cowardly are things that he did.
Well, let me help you out here, or ask you at least this question. Do you think that a wall with plaster and 2x4s and maybe some drywall is better cover than a sliding glass window?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Which thing was Hunter behind in the video and which thing was Holly behind in the video?
Well, apparently, according to you, and I don't recall the video, but what you're saying is that he was behind the drywall and the plaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was in front of the glass door. But we also don't know if she was in front of that the entire time. Right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. We have no reason to assume the other. What he claims,
we have a minute of video.
What he claimed in it, yeah, and in the minute of video, she was in front of the slider the entire time. What he claims in both the story and in his tweets and in the follow-up video was that he was on the right side of his deck, peering over the deck systematically to check for the shooter, while she was placing herself in front of this slider to look out for the shooter. Which position would you have preferred to have been in?
I don't know. I think they're both pretty dangerous positions.
Yeah, which one, if you had to choose between the at least some cover or no fucking cover, which one would you choose?
I think I honestly, okay, so I don't know that much about that situation, right? But I think that given that he probably has a better way to access them from the outside, I actually do think that Hunter would probably be in more of danger there, right? Especially if he decided to turn. Yeah, if he decided to turn around and go back outside, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so the shooter's pursuing,
Mhm.
right? Pursuing you. You run into your home. You barricade yourself on the back porch. Where did the shooter see you enter?
They saw you from the front, but that doesn't mean they won't walk
So
around
if they
the
saw
back.
you from the front, they probably would enter from the front. At least that would stand to reasoning. Would you put yourself in front of the sliding glass door in that situation, or would you prefer to be behind the 2x4s and the plaster?
I mean, yeah, if he doesn't come around the back, then yeah, you would want to be behind the plaster, sure. But there's
Right.
still a chance that he can come around the back.
Yeah,
right?
there
Like,
is.
why
There's
wouldn't
also
he?
a chance that they can both get down if he comes around the back, right? They can both get down if he does that. You're still in no worse situation, but you're in the worst
I don't know about
situation.
that.
You're in the worst situation if you, yeah. Well, if you look at the video, there's barricades all around the outside of the deck, right? A little bit of a wall, raised wall, which is very common on back decks, especially in apartment buildings. So if they're in the back, the guy comes around, they can both duck down, and they both have at least some barrier there. However, if he comes through the front door,
out of the way?
if he comes in the front door, they both could. But if he comes in the front door, right, because their vision, that's the hiding portion of what the cage strategy is. The second they duck out of sight, he can't see them from their elevated position to his non-elevated position. So now they duck down, right? This guy's he's shooting blind no matter what.
Mhm.
However, if he comes in through the front door and she's in front of the slider, is he shooting blind?
No, but again,
No.
he was there to shoot Hunter and kill Hunter specifically.
Well,
He
who
wasn't
took
there
the bullet? It didn't
Yeah,
seem to stop
Holly-
that from happening.
No, Holly took the bullet, and then
Mhm.
upon finding out that she had taken a bullet, Conrad ended up shooting himself in the head because he felt so bad about it.
Yeah,
Like,
but
he
that
didn't-
has
he
no
was-
bearing
he was
on
messaging her that he didn't want that to happen.
more
And so
post hoc. That's
No,
more
it's
post
not
hoc.
post hoc because in this situation they were texting and she said, "I'm losing a lot of blood. I need you to surrender." And he said that he didn't mean for that to happen and he wanted to shoot Hunter and kill Hunter.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that
But
situation,
they had no idea if he was coming through the front door or if he was going to be coming around from the rear entry.
sure.
But if
And
you
again,
were logicking this out yourself, right? Wouldn't you, if you were running through your front door to the back, to the barricaded back deck, right? And you put all the barriers between you, which would include your front door, your slider door, and then you have your external barrier. Okay. If you put yourself, where would you want to put yourself? In front of the slider or in front of the cover? You tell me.
if I know that the shooter is trying to specifically kill my partner,
Well, she
not
didn't know
me.
that then.
She knew it by the time they were on the porch.
They didn't know. She didn't know.
They
She
were
had a bullet.
exchanging
She had a
text messages.
bullet in her leg by the time they were on the porch.
Yes,
They
they were
have no
exchanging
idea.
text messages. They were exchanging text messages.
You still don't know what he's going to do. You still didn't know what he was going to do.
He explicitly said that he did not mean for that to happen to Holly.
So what? That doesn't mean that he still wouldn't come through the front door and finish the job, regardless of what he says. There's no way to know what he's going to do.
Yeah, but he ended up shooting himself in the head.
That's post hoc rationalization.
Right,
At the time, they have no way to determine for sure that he's not going to come in and finish the fucking job. They have no way.
Suspicion that he wanted to kill Hunter specifically.
That's nice. She has no idea that that's how he's going to act. And Hunter Avallone also has no idea that that's how he's going to act. All he knows at that point is that this chick has a bullet in her leg and she's in front of the slider and he's in front of the cover. That's what the video shows very clearly.
Sure, but again, they have the history of Conrad threatening to kill Hunter, days before that. They after she found out the air tags, he threatened to kill Hunter, right? So yes, they do have the information to be like, you know what, this guy is probably here to kill Hunter specifically.
Yeah, but you don't know that he's going to not kill her too.
If I suspected that the gunman was trying to kill specifically my partner, yes, I would want my partner to be hidden.
Yeah, but your partner who doesn't know this, and you who don't know for sure what this guy is capable of, you can't, right? It's not possible for you to understand his motivations, even if you have whatever this inkling is. Avallone could easily, while he's on the phone with 911, move her over to the covered position, treated her wound, and put himself in front of the slider where there's easy access to get him. Instead, you can clearly see in the video, he does everything he can to keep himself out of the way of that slider where he thinks the intruder is going to come next. And how do you think? I mean, I can't even perceive how you can imagine that's not complete and total cowardice.
I don't think it's cowardice because I think the dude was there to specifically kill Hunter. And I think Holly knew that.
No, she couldn't know it. She could suspect it, but he certainly can't know it at that point. And so still from his perspective at the time, without using any type of justification after the fact, you would think that he would move her towards the covered position, put himself in the position where the slider is. So it's multiple times acting like fucking cowards.
What makes you think that she would even agree to that?
How could he stop her? She has a bullet hole in her fucking leg and he's a male. What's she gonna do? Fight him off?
So what? Yeah, she can. She can refuse.
Crazy. What?
She can absolutely refuse.
And he goes, I don't give a shit, and moves her over anyway. So what?
I mean, again,
if a shooter hits you, we were at a concert or something, a shooter hits you, and I grabbed you, and I'm like, I'm carrying you out of here, and you were like, no, don't, and I was like, shut the fuck, I'm doing it anyway, right? Are you really going to make the case that like I didn't consent to that? Is that really the case you're going to make?
No, but I think that in that situation, she's still standing. She still was well enough to run there, right? Even if she's terrified. Bleeding.
She was terrified and petrified. And the second that guy took charge and said, listen, you come over here, you sit down right here, kneel down here, and here, I'm going to wrap your leg. All that shit, she would have done whatever the fuck was necessary at the point she had a bullet hole in her leg. I don't even think that you would dispute that. You're trying to say that, well, she would say no and fight him off with a bullet. Come on. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm just saying that she would probably protest pretty heavily to that, or at least I would.
Oh, well, too bad. Yeah, thanks for your protest.
If I thought that this person was specifically coming there to kill my partner and not kill me, and it's been confirmed through text message, then yeah, I would have a huge issue with that. I wouldn't be okay with it.
Yeah, you could screech, but I mean, and then get moved, and there's nothing
So
you can do about it.
is he just supposed to like be okay with like dying then?
Well, no, it's not that you're okay with dying. That's not the point of what we're talking about. Neither of them are okay with dying.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about, though, is in the stead, which one of them would we count on for making the brave decisions versus which one we wouldn't? In this case, the chick made all of the brave decisions, stood her ground, and made an even more brave decision, even after the fact with a bullet in her leg, still stood in the most dangerous position, while Hunter hid in the only cover position that he could. Pure cowardice across the board. He didn't even, you're trying to say, well, but Andrew, she would have said, no, Hunter, I want to stay in front of the glass door where the deranged gunman's going to come in. Okay. And he goes, I don't give a shit what you want, and moves her off to the side. Right.
But again, it has, they have good reason enough to suspect that he is there to only kill Hunter. They have reason enough no, they do, because when they found
the owl goes out the door the second a bullet hits her leg.
No, when the bullet hit her leg, the ricocheting slug, it was ricocheting. That's why it hit her leg.
Yeah, and how often do abusers say things to women like, "Oh, honey, it'll never happen again. I'll never hit you again. I'm not here. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to do this to you." They lie, right? Isn't that what abusers do?
Sure, they do.
And so we're supposed to assume, though, that this guy was just giving an honest account.
Because he was repeatedly saying over several days and even over several months.
Yeah, he's an abuser. You're not supposed to believe him, right?
He wanted to kill Hunter.
Yeah, but he's an abuser, and abusers will often say things, if they're abusive, that aren't true in order to continue to abuse you, right?
Sure, but
yeah, so there's no actual reason to believe that she was out of danger.
When he shows up with a gun
and she gets shot,
and well, the reason the injury that she sustained is because of a ricocheting slug, right?
Yeah, okay, but she got shot. They don't know that it's a ricochet. They don't know any of that. There's no way for them to determine exactly what happened. They just know she has a bullet in her leg. This guy says, well, I'm not here for you, though, right? But abusers lie. There's no reason for them to actually believe that this guy's telling them the truth while this chick is seeping blood out of her fucking leg. That's insane.
Right. She'd been with him for 11 years. I think after 11 years, I think she probably knew him well enough to know that he was serious when he shows up with a gun to kill Hunter.
Well, and how many times did she get shot in those 13 years or 11 years she was with him?
Well, because he didn't own a gun before that.
Right. So, okay, so he had a gun. He shows up. She gets shot, right? And then what happens is you have this kind of post hoc rationalization and say, well, because we've determined that things, they didn't work out the best, but they did at least work out where the two people whose lives we don't want to be lost didn't get lost. And the guy who, is the lunatic who showed up, his life did. Therefore, everybody acted correctly is absurd. What we see here clearly is that she not only throws herself between Hunter and this guy, but then does it a second time. And Hunter reacts with pure cowardice the entire time. And your only defense to this is, well, but they sent a text message. But from Hunter's standpoint, when the message comes in, if I was in his situation and said, oh, he says he's not here to hurt you, why the fuck do you have a bullet hole in your leg then? That's what I would say. That's what you would say. That's what most reasonable people would say. Why would I believe a word that this guy said? I wouldn't, and neither would you, because that would be insane. So it just clearly demonstrates again that Hunter just basically looked like a fucking sissy.
Look, every single guide I can find on this situation, in an active shooter situation, is that every single one of them advises people to run. Right? That is what they're supposed to do.
We've been over all this. I don't feel like we're going anywhere.
We have and I was it was kind of naturally coming there, but we have a special guest caller. You both have debated here on the Killstream, actually, now that I think about it. Southern Dingo, host of the world famous groundbreaking show, the Southern AF podcast. And you did a run in on his debate.
Okay, so just real quick before can I just ask Dingo for a single favor? I almost regret asking it, but because we're live on the platforms we're live on,
yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I've never dropped a racial slur on.
He'll be fine. He'll be good. He'll be good, Dingo. He knows.
All right.
He knows that.
I just have one question, and I'm going to leave. So I'm not here for long. My question was to Stardust. Hi, Stardust. Nice to see you again. If the stakes were not like the guy had a gun, but if the stakes were just he was coming to fight Hunter, like fist fight, would you still consider the girl's actions heroic if she jumped in the middle of that? Then, you know what I'm saying? Like, would it still be heroic to want to fight
I mean,
the guy and protect Hunter if there was no gun?
I would say like what I said about the shooter situation, that it's stupid, but it's heroic. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, have a good night, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Dingo. Have a good one.
Thank you, Dingo. Yep. All right, we got that in. Guest caller. Yeah, and I think it's kind of mostly run its course. It was really more interesting than I thought it would be. No offense to anybody involved. I was just like, well, we're kind of just throwing this out here, drama topic, but actually went to some places I didn't necessarily expect, and points.
I
on
thought it
both
would be an
sides,
interesting one.
Yeah.
And also Andrew and I are friends, you know. So I think,
I know.
it was it was going to be a good conversation regardless. So
all right. So Andrew started off, so I'll let him start off here. And give his final thoughts here and encapsulate his arguments and points, and then I'll let you go, Stardust.
Look, there's no doubt that Hunter Avallone hates me like nobody on planet Earth. And whenever he mentions me, he says, but as I pointed out on stream the other night, fucking hate that guy. That's how he references Andrew Wilson, which I understand, right? I get why the guy hates me. I actually don't like him very much either, as you can imagine. But he did have an opportunity to at least redeem himself in my eyes. And he's had multiple opportunities to do this. Maybe if he had shown some kind of, I don't know, initiative in his own private life so that his wife didn't go off for massive gangbangs, I would have had a little bit more respect for him. But even the fact that that didn't happen, and he moved into this situation where he's trying to maybe move on and put his shattered life and the pieces of his life back together. And what we see him do instead is when a confrontation presents itself, and in this case, he egged on in his Avallone style fashion. What we end up with is pure cowardice. If I had written this as a script for how I thought Hunter would react in a situation like this, it would have played out exactly like the situation was we saw. You couldn't make satire like this up. It would be something like, and then the chick threw herself in front of him while Hunter ran like a little bitch, crying the whole time, all the way back up. And then they were on the back deck, and he was on the phone with the police going, I don't know what the fuck to do. It's so terrible. And while she was in front of the slider, still protecting his ass, you know what I mean? That's how it would have played. It would have been unbelievable to people who were reading the script. They would have been like, this is just pure malice from Andrew. This is just him purely hating Hunter Avallone. That's why he wrote him to be such a sissy in this script, right? But then when it plays out in reality, that's exactly what we see. Pure cowardice and coping after the cowardice is done. We see these multiple streams. Oh, he's so fucked up, he can't stream. Oh, go to my fucking, GoFundMe, and check out this video, which now has some notoriety. Anything he could fucking do to capitalize on the fact that he was a pussy, he's doing. Everything you could ever imagine a sissy would do in this situation is exactly what Hunter Avallone did. And he coped after the fact. And he's still so traumatized, PTSD from a a suicide by cop, essentially, that he didn't even witness, right? He doesn't even know if he's done with his streaming career. The guy just leeches yellow. He leeches it out of his pores. He's one of the biggest fucking cowards I've ever seen in my life. Now, I would love to be able to say something along the lines of, look, I give him the benefit of the doubt. Why not? After all, I don't know what I would do in a situation like that, except while I haven't been in that exact situation, I've been in one very similar, and I know exactly how I responded. I know exactly what I did. So I know what the distinction is. The guy's a fucking wuss. And I guarantee you that if Stardust, old man Beckett, reacted in any way, shape, or form like this, right, she'd get rid of his ass, and I wouldn't blame her. So that's all I'm going to say on that, right? And by the way, when I talk to Beckett later, Stardust, which I will, I'm sure he'll DM me, okay? I'm going to ask him this shit, and he's going to be like, okay, yeah, he's a fucking, I watched this, he's a fucking wuss. You're right. That's what's going to happen. I'm just saying. So that's my 2 cents on it. I appreciate the Killstream hosting the debate. It was a lot of fun. And I hope we brought some fire tonight.
I've loved it. 2 pros here. I didn't have to do much. Just let them go at it here on the Killstream. Stardust, take it away.
Yeah. So first off, let me start off with, Hunter being liable for the ex's actions. All right. The ex is the one who shot shot the round, shot the gun, and he is the reason that the ricocheting slug hit Holly in the leg. It is not Hunter's fault. It is solely on Conrad. Conrad is the one who decided to make those actions. Even if Hunter did engage with the ex previous to the incident, this was not proportional whatsoever to the level of violence that on the phone confrontation would be, right? That, like, honestly, it's just completely overblown. I think it's just ridiculous. You engage with a back and forth and get nasty with somebody on the phone does not justify in any scenario that person showing up and trying to kill you with the gun. I think we can all agree on that. And so, to say that, in any way that Hunter is responsible in this, I don't think is true. Secondly, I think that the person with the firearm, Conrad, was able to foresee the consequences of his actions. He was able to know what he was doing. He went beforehand. He retrieved a gun. He went to the address. He found the address by putting the air tags in Holly's luggage. And he clearly had a rational enough mind to do all of this planning. And he had been there at least a day before. So he had plenty of time to rethink his decisions, and he still went forward with this, trying to shoot and kill Hunter and injuring Holly in the process.
Oh, sorry, Stardust. Go ahead.
So I think that, putting that aside, Conrad basically, failed in his intention, which is a good thing. I think what happened with Holly and Hunter was clearly teamwork, right? Holly placed herself in between Hunter and the shooter. Can we say it was like an unwise decision? Sure. But was it brave? Absolutely. They both fled, which is what people advised to do. Every single article I read on this is, you are advised to flee when a active shooter situation is unfolding. The further you are away from the gunman, the better your chances of surviving. And in fact, when it comes to fighting, fighting will increase the likelihood of you dying substantially. So they did the right thing. They did function as a team, whether that was Holly stepping in between, whether that was Hunter calling 911 and trying to help her with her injury after that, whether it was, the two of them together in the back, trying to keep each other, sane and comforting each other. So I don't think Hunter was a pussy in this. Like, was he a hero? Maybe not. But he did what he was supposed to do. And I just don't think that it's fair to call him a pussy in this when I would see plenty of other people who would function much worse in this situation. So,
you know what the real crime is here? The real crime is that I have 3 times the viewership of Hunter Avallone. Should never even have to talk about him. That's the fucking real crime. The real crime is that Ethan Ralph right now has more fucking live viewers than Hunter's had in the last 2 years of his pathetic fucking life. And yet here we are talking about his stupid ass. That's the real fucking crime.
Well, we're in the giving spirit here for Christmas. Andrew Wilson, very good to have you back, sir, in a fully fledged Blood Sports here on the Killstream. And Stardust, one of the nicest people I know, and she was very kind to me always. But during a rough period this year, sent me a very nice message. I said that the other day. I won't read it out because it was really nice. I'll just say one of the nicest things I think anybody's ever said to me online. So I really appreciate her, and she's always been great on this show as well. Merry Christmas to you both.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Andrew, for engaging in this with me. Even though I'm like comparatively to you, a baby debater, but I do appreciate it. So I was like going back and forth with you.
It was a fun topic, right?
Yeah.
I had to debate it with somebody. Ralph, find me some good blood sports, man. I want to come back.
Hey, I'll fire back up. I'll look for some more.
Debate again, Andrew. What, am I not good enough to debate again? Andrew?
Of course.
Wow.
I said, fine. Let's do some more good. I love the blood.
Okay.
I can't help myself. I can't.
We
help
can do
myself.
blood sports. I can turn it up. We can do blood
All
sports.
right.
You should do overtime. Bring Beckett. I really do. I wish Ralph would humor this. You should bring Beckett on right now. I want to hear what fucking Beckett, your boyfriend, has to say about it. If he agrees with any of it, bring Beckett on here.
I don't know if he. Let me see. I don't know.
He'll come on here. I mean, come on. You got him whipped. Bring him on. Bring on Beckett.
Wow.
Bring on Beckett.
He might be busy right now. I don't know. He's in the UK, so
Yeah, it's a big call. Well, you know,
yeah.
I would be down. You know, I won't stop it, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I want to hear it. I want to hear it, Ralph. I want to hear Beckett of Crabs, her boyfriend, right? Who I actually have some respect for. I'm not going to lie. He's a nice guy. I want to hear him say to my face that he would do exactly what Hunter Avallone said. I just don't believe. I don't believe it.
I don't think he would do exactly what Hunter did. I'm saying that when him and I talked about this issue, he said, "Yeah, I think people are freaking out too much about this. I think, you know, very clearly, like this is just like a situation where they did the best that they could." So,
Yeah, we got it. What did he say? Is he coming?
I don't even know if he's alive right now.
It is pretty late in the UK, but
Message him anyway. He ain't
all right,
doing
well,
shit.
I'll wait and see. You know,
Beckett ain't doing nothing. He streams like at
put on
3
the
o'clock in
spot.
the morning. He streams at like 3
Oh,
a.m.
does he?
and
See,
shit.
I don't think I've
Yeah.
seen him stream. I've seen some pictures of them on Twitter, but I don't think I've actually seen him stream. No offense to him. I'm streaming so much of my own too. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, you stream for like breakfast, lunch, and
yeah, I
dinner, dude.
know. Yeah, I'm on air all the fucking time. So, but yeah, if he wants to hop in or is down to, I won't stop it. And I'll also look for some other matchups too, and maybe a rerun with the Stardust if we find the right topic. I'm not against that either.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if
so-
you want me to turn up the blood sports, I certainly can for you, Andrew. I just, you know, feel I don't want to cross any lines with you. That's all, you know.
Well,
so, yeah.
it's you're not going to hurt my feelings, but this was a good debate. I enjoyed it. And it was blood sports. Blood sports doesn't always just mean over the top bullshit.
doesn't
Yeah.
have to
Just
be
means a
personal.
contentious debate, really.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, in this case, what did Beckett say? Well, I just
He
am
wants
dying to
Beckett
have
on
him
here
on
so
here.
bad.
He's
I
not.
do.
He's not responding.
He's
to
not
me.
responding.
Okay,
Well, if I
okay.
send him a DM, is he going to respond?
Oh, you
I mean, I'll be offended if he responds to you and doesn't respond to me.
Well, he said
But
right here. He said right here he'll come on.
is he there?
No, I don't know. I just made it up.
Oh,
I
I
just
was
wanted
gonna
to
say,
start
yeah,
us
you
super
try to start
uncomfortable.
shit.
I just wanted to make her uncomfortable. Anyway, well, all right then, guys. I'll
It
get
was
out of
great.
your hair. Thanks for having me on, and I'll
oh,
see
he
you guys.
actually might be good. Actually,
He's
he might
good?
be-
Really?
Yes.
Let me see.
All right.
Let's go into overtime on this.
I'm down. Little OT period. Oh yeah, if there's any,
Still got a
okay.
whole tall can here to drink, so
Yeah.
let's do this.
I don't have one of those, although I may go get some more water. Oh, you're really making me want a cigarette. I smoked all mine already today, and I'm just like, fuck. Anyway.
Yeah, are you on the wagon?
Yeah,
Ethan?
I am on the wagon. Yeah. So
Congrats, man.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've been about 3.5 months or so now. So it's helped me lose a lot of weight as well. So I was already losing, but when you don't drink, it's even easier to do that. So, but yeah, if he wants to pop on, you could send him the Hangout link or the Google Meet link, whatever the fuck they call it now. So, oh, if anybody has any questions, powerchat.live/the Ralph Retort, killstream.live/tip, $sign Sunset Squad on Cash App, Rumble Rants, of course. Been streaming for a while. Oh, James dropped a 20. That's a song. You know what? I'll play that while we wait on Beckett to come in, and I'll mute the tab and just message me in the chat, and I'll turn it back on. It's only 2.5 minutes anyway, so if he comes before 2.5 minutes, let me know. I'll play this. Oh, you won't be able to hear it anyway because it doesn't play my audio through Andrew, so it should be fine for
Perfect.
YouTube. Yeah, it should be
Perfect.
fine for YouTube.
All right, well, I'll hang out too.
All right,
I'm
yeah,
just
talk
gonna
to your
mute
audience
on
for a
that
second.
end as well. You have to chat for a minute till
I'd rather shoot
Let's go!
man. I worry whether this is my last
Can we hit the
night.
goal? I've been streaming all day!
Girl, if you're listening, I'm sorry, I can't help it. Oh, Jana, come on.
James Gardner wants to hit the goal.
I'm forevermore fighting with Steven. We do our
James Gardner wants to hit that fucking goal.
we
I want to hit
know
that fucking goal. Let's get shot.
over
Let's get shot.
to
Let's
down
go. Let's go.
and strong.
fucking right.
She's not afraid to take a chance. Oh,
Let's go!
Dana, oh, Dana, come on. She's got a magic wand that says, play with yourself before others.
Yeah, the weights came in today.
Oh, Dana, come on, come on. Woo! Oh, Dana, come on.
They're probably thinking I've lost my mind, but they already knew it. I didn't have far to go. All right. Okay. Thank you for that, James. All right. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm back. He's still talking to his people. I think.
All right. No. We good?
Yeah, we're good. I was just cutting a promo with the weights.
Oh, yeah. No problem. Man. Do your thing. Is Beckett here now?
I don't think so, because I think it would tell. It would say admit.
Yeah, he says he'll be 1 second. So
Okay, that's
he's-
fine.
Okay. No problem. Yeah, no
All right,
problem.
that's fine.
So what the fuck's going on in Mexico, man? What are you doing
It's
down there?
great here. It's fantastic. Got a good holiday trip planned, actually, to Tulum, which is south of Cancun, south of Playa del Carmen. Then I'm going to Bacalar, which is a little bit further south down by Belize. And so it's Lake of the Seven Colors, basically, Lagoon of the Seven Colors. And they also have, what is it, stromatolites? I never say that right, but basically the oldest living creatures on Earth. They have.
Can you
some of
send
those
me
there.
a bottle of the agave tequila? If I send you the cash?
Sure. Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
I want that, yeah, but the agave tequila doesn't give you a hangover, man.
Yeah, I've heard that. You know, tequila in general, of course, I'm on the wagon, like I said earlier, but tequila is like 30-40% cheaper in Mexico, which I guess makes sense. All right, now Beckett is here now, though.
Beckett, can you hear me?
I can. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to get
Sure, that's
set up.
fine.
I've
Yeah,
just gone live, so
yeah, take your time.
and cheers. Right, okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Good evening.
Good evening,
Beckett,
sir. Welcome.
I want to hear you say, I want to hear it come out of your filthy British mouth that you would allow for Stardust to throw herself between you and a shooter. Just tell me that.
I didn't
Beckett.
say
Just
that you
tell-
would allow for
Just
it.
tell me that,
I'm
Beckett.
sorry.
Tell it. Say
I'm
it.
sorry.
to me.
Did you just literally get me on a fucking stream to be like, hey Becca, I know you're British and therefore scared of guns. Can you just admit that your like American girlfriend, you'd be fine with her being a human shield? Is that your serious fucking argument?
Yes.
Well,
And am I
like,
right
okay.
or what? Or am I right?
Okay, first off, no, obviously
No,
not.
no.
Obviously fucking not. But secondly, that's not what fucking happened, is it? Like,
Yeah, it's not.
No, it is. It is what happened, Beckett. What
Well,
happened
okay.
is she jumped in front of him because he panicked and couldn't do anything because he's a dumb, slack-jawed coward, right? That's what actually, but she did jump in front of him. Now, in that situation, Beckett, are you going to say that that's appropriate, that you wouldn't jump in front of Stardust, that you would appreciate if she jumped in front of you because you're afraid of guns, Beckett?
well, you know, we still have crossbows here.
Would you have stalked
I
him
don't-
down with a crossbow, Beckett?
Obviously. What else am I going to do in Britain? We've got laws for that. It's fine.
Yeah.
I need a license, of course.
You got to
obviously,
answer the
and right
question, though.
permits.
Beck. I see you trying to avoid. You got to answer. Answer the
No, I
question.
as
mean,
far as
look,
as far as I know from the Hunter stuff, that's not like she jumped or like got hit in some way by shrapnel, but then they both got out onto the balcony, right? Like
Okay,
it
Yeah,
wasn't
so
like
she
he was
stepped-
there
so
wielding the
what
gun
happened-
next to her.
Yeah, so what happened is she jumped in front when she noticed Conrad was holding a gun. Hunter was still calculating what the fuck is going on.
Hang on, stop
here.
there. Stop
And
there.
then
Stop right there.
they
Right
both
there.
ran.
Hang on, just stop there. Just right there. That one point. So me and Stardust will agree on this point before she moves on that he panicked and she jumped in front. Now,
I
Beckett.
don't know about panic even, but like, yeah, he was thinking about the situation. He wasn't sure what was happening.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's all the signs of panic. But she jumped in front. Now, Beckett, the roles were reversed and it was you and Stardust. Would your expectation be that she jumped in front?
It wouldn't be my expectation, no.
Would you
But
jump
it's
in
not
front,
like
Beckett?
it's not like he could control it. It's not. I'm sure it
Well,
wasn't
okay.
Hunter's expectation either.
Like,
that she would
couldn't
jump
she
in
play
front.
hopscotch? Like she jumped in front, you jump in front of her, right?
Okay, like firstly, like it's very hard to do. Like I fucking the mental gymnastics of this. Unless you've been in
What?
those situations.
I have.
No. Unless you've been in those situations. Like I've been in threatening situations as well. I've got a fair idea how I'd act. That doesn't necessarily mean that's how Hunter would act, or even the average person, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what? That's
So
not pertinent to my question. My question's about
Well-
you and Stardust. Doesn't even have anything to do with Hunter. Just asking if the roles were reversed, would you be the guy?
yeah,
who
I'd
jumped in
probably
front?
try and get her out of the way of danger. Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you don't think it's cowardice that he didn't, right, Beckett?
I don't know what their placements were, but like he didn't just leave her alone. He tourniqueted her injury. They got out the room together. What are your expectations of what Hunter should have done here? Now, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna sit here and defend Hunter Avallone because I don't give a fuck. But like, what realistically, what are your expectations of what his action should have been?
Well, I would expect him to act in a way that preserves the female's life.
Okay, but what does that look like? Because that could be anything.
Well, in this particular case, her jumping in front of him does the opposite of preservation of her life.
Okay, but how did so
So even if the
occur?
action
What
was
the
just
actual-
to grab her and run off with her or jump in front of her, any of these things I might consider acceptable. But just to flee the other direction while screaming to her to run, which is what he reported and the papers reported, that seems to me to be the epitome of cowardice.
They were both running.
He was running
were both
first.
running,
He was
yes.
running first.
He may have ran first, but she was running as well.
Well, he who runs first is the first pussy. That's the way that works.
That's what
Okay?
he's supposed to do. That's what he's supposed to do in that situation.
You're not supposed to let her stand guard as the human shield while he runs in that situation. This is not what the situation calls for.
Okay, just from a positioning point in the room here, because like we're getting to the weird logistics. Do we know where they were standing when they became aware of an active shooter?
They had walked down to the apartment building's glass front door, and they were peering out of it when Conrad showed up, and I guess he had the gun with him. So that's all we know about it.
So at that point, is that the point when Hunter was like, "Shit, he's got a gun, we should run it," and then ran?
Well, he was slack-jawed.
He was
didn't know what to do.
he was
He was
trying to
panicked.
estimate. Yeah.
He was panicked and he was slack-jawed, and he said while he was trying to determine what was going on, because apparently his processor is a little bit slow, she heroically ran and jumped in front of him. And then as he was fleeing, he shouted, "Run, run, run."
Okay, well, my question, did she know that her previous partner was there to kill him?
Well, she didn't know it
She
at
had
that
a
point.
suspicion. She certainly did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he had the same suspicion.
So okay, so they both had the suspicion that the target of her ex-boyfriend was Hunter, not her.
So what?
Yes.
So the reasonable reaction from her is to be less inclined to run because she.
Why
doesn't
would
think
that? I thought
gonna
that
hit
he
her.
was an abuser, and we don't believe abusers because they do anything they can to abuse. So
Yeah,
even
we
if
might
he's-
not believe
so
that.
why would
but
she?
She might believe that.
Why
We're
would
talking about
she?
what
Why would
people-
she believe
No,
a
no.
manipulative abuser? That makes no sense, Beckett.
Well, she was with him for
Oh,
11
fuck
years,
off,
bro.
go on.
Like, you know, she
No, no.
clearly believed him long enough to be with him for 11 years.
Yeah. So just
Yeah,
because she's stupid doesn't mean that she believed him.
Yeah, but we're not talking about like, hey, what was her intelligent action here? We're talking about what actions people took with the information they had. And
Yeah,
the
but-
information they both had was he's here to kill Hunter, get Hunter out the way. He's not here to kill Holly. Holly feels in less danger. Now, whether that's a reality is almost fucking irrelevant to their actions.
Oh, I
because
don't
they're
think
not
so.
fake.
Because if you got
Okay.
a call inside of your little flat or whatever the fuck you call it in the UK, if you got a call from your
I have a house,
manager of
thank
your
you.
flat, and your manager of your flat said, "Hey, Beckett, you fucking Ed Sheeran lookalike motherfucker, there's a guy with a suitcase who's walking around here who looks awful suspicious," and you had an inkling that it might be Stardust's ex-boyfriend there to possibly exterminate you or her or both. If you went to check out the situation, would you take Stardust with you, Beckett?
No, I wouldn't.
No,
You
wouldn't.
bet
Nah.
I would insist on coming though.
And would you let her?
No,
would you let her,
would
Beckett?
insist on coming, but I wouldn't fucking let you come.
That's right.
Like,
You wouldn't.
I fucking listen. I fucking okay. I hate both these sides because again, like, yes, there are different expectations here. I'm not Hunter, and there is going to be a different fucking reality to these things. So yes, you're right. I would in those situations, like, either go on my own. In fact, do you know what? Actually, like, as we're talking about what I would do, I probably wouldn't check things out. I would probably secure the location as best as I could and phone the fucking police. I wouldn't go on my own with a fucking camera or whatever.
Hey, I don't
check
have
it
any
out.
problem. Look,
I'm-
Beckett, I don't have any
like-
problem with that either. But assuming that you just felt the inclination to check things out, is there any fucking world
Bad brain damage,
perceivable?
sure.
Is there any world perceivable where you're going to take Stardust with you to do that?
No, there is.
No,
You
there
think you
isn't.
can stop me?
Yeah, I think you could
Yes,
stop.
I do.
Yeah.
You're fucking tiny.
Yeah,
Come on,
that's
what are
right.
you talking about?
Yes, that's what I wanted to fucking hear, Beckett. Now, Beckett, let me ask you the second thing. Second question here. Maybe you can make this a bit more decisive for me. I can see that Ethan Ralph's over there. He's about to choke to death from laughter that he's trying to hold in.
Got you.
But,
Yeah, you got
but the
him.
thing
You
is
got
like,
him.
look, over to you, Beckett. After the situation unfolds and they're in the back porch, you've seen the notorious call, right? Where he's filming it. She's shot in the leg. She's bleeding everywhere. She's in front of the sliding glass door. Assume for a second you had made the awful and stupid decision to take Stardust with you, and she had taken one in the leg. As you were fleeing back up, you went through the front door. He sees you go through the front door. One of you has to stay on the end of the balcony, and you're looking over the balcony to determine if he's coming around that way or if he's coming through the front door, but he sees you coming in the front door. Would you put her in front of the sliding glass door, or would you put her in front of the covered position next to the sliding glass door where she's out of sight, Beckett?
I'm trying
Mind
to
you,
get the
she's shot in the
logistics
leg, by the way, just so you know. Shit, this time she's
No, I'm
she's
just trying to, I'm
wounded.
trying to work out the logistics.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm trying to remember back to the footage. I mean, ultimately, again, she's just been shot. My first thing would be like, how can I, like, are we stopping the bleeding? Is she going to be all right? That kind of shit.
Yeah, but would you
don't
stop her
know-
bleeding behind the cover or in front of the sliding glass door where there's no cover?
So you're basically calling him a double coward. Is that what you're saying, Andrew?
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
think- like,
Coward
look,
at
I
first
don't-
and then
I
coward.
don't,
Coward, right?
I don't think the
Well,
argument. Okay, so I don't think the argument.
am
that
going to
Hunter's a
take a
coward-
huge. I have to take a huge issue with this. You know full well, Beckett, that you would not be able to stop me. You can say you would try to stop me, but at the end of the fucking day, I would be coming through that fucking door with you. You
I
know
don't-
it.
I don't think he'd let you start.
You
Look, I
know he
don't-
would.
I-
He would not be able to
Oh my
fucking
God.
stop me. Don't act
I don't
like
think
like
either of us.
because
Listen,
there have been
neither of us
plenty
would be
of
going through the
situations
fucking
where
door.
I have been the one going out. All right, so don't fucking act that way.
You see where
Yeah,
the
but the
feminism
difference- but
ends
you're-
is where the
but you're
penis
asking-
begins. That's what
Okay.
that's
Oh
what
my
we
God.
just saw live. Beckett said exactly what I predicted he would say before he ever came on stream.
Yeah,
There ain't
but
no
again-
fucking way he'd ever let you. Stardust
No,
says,
but
how
there's
would
a
he stop me?
difference.
And Beckett says,
but
I'd
there's-
fucking stop her, believe me.
He could
Okay,
not
but
stop.
I've been in
plenty
these.
of
But I've
times-
been in
there are
situations
plenty
like
of
this.
times-
Hold on, hold
there
on,
are
hold
plenty
on.
of
One at a time,
times-
one at a
No,
time.
no fucking way, bro. No fucking way. Don't fucking
This is-
patronize me.
Okay.
That it's.
I'm
it's
not trying to fucking.
No,
Oh
it
my
is.
god.
You are
Oh my god.
patronizing.
How is I wouldn't let my partner get shot? Me
I
patronizing
wouldn't fucking
you.
let you go out by yourself, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't, but at the same time, you would probably be sensible enough to try and
you
stop
can't
me
stop
from going out.
coming
No,
behind you.
you'd probably. I would hope you'd be smart enough that if I was dumb enough to want to go out, you'd try and stop me.
I would yes,
because that's
I would
obviously
try
the
to stop
wrong-
you from going out, period. Yeah. But if you're
Yeah,
insisting
sure.
on going out,
So-
you're not going out there by yourself.
Okay, but okay.
Come on,
but
Beckett.
from the
That's the
position
chance.
of
That's your
being-
chance to push back. You know you'd tie her
Look
up.
at what you've
There's
done,
no way she's
Andrew.
walking
I
out the
knew
fucking
that.
door, right?
Yeah, look, listen. Yes, of course, there's no
No.
fucking. And listen, I've been in situations. Listen,
Don't
Honey,
act no,
honestly.
bro. Don't even
no,
don't
there's
no.
absolutely no
No,
fucking way.
no,
I'm sorry.
absolutely not.
I'm-
No, absolutely not. No. No.
Yeah, but it's asking me. It's not asking what Hunter would do. And
I'm
also,
sorry. I am
hold on.
following you,
Can I
and
just
you
fucking-
can't stop me from following you.
Can I just push back on this whole narrative building from Andrew, by the way? Because I understand why you're doing this and why you fucking phoned me, because you know me and you knew what the fucking conversation would look like.
Well, but
But
hang on. In my
I'm not
defense,
Hunter.
real quick, I did get your back, Beckett. I got your back. So what I did, and Ralph can confirm this, I said Beckett would tie your fucking ass up before he'd let you out of that house,
No,
and
he
he'd
can't.
move you.
He
He would
literally
move you
doesn't
to
have
the
anything
covered
to do that
position,
way.
whether you liked it or you fucking didn't like it. That's what Beckett's going to do. And you were like, nah, Beckett thinks I'm a strong woman, not feminism bullshit.
No,
and then
not,
Beckett came
not,
on and he was
I'm
like,
not saying that he
listen,
thinks
baby,
I'm a
you're
strong
just-
woman.
That's
I
my
think
house,
that he's
baby.
fucking,
That's
I
what
think he's
Beckett did.
posturing. I think he's posturing right now. Like, let's be real. You do not have anything in your fucking house to tie me up with, and you would not be able to stop me from coming out the door behind you. I would, of course, want you to stop and not even go out in the first place, but if you're insisting on going, there's no way in hell I would let you go out by yourself.
I had your back, Beckett. I want to let you know.
Listen.
I
If
had
there
your
was
back.
any reasonable way that I could
You're in a
physically stop you
relationship
from
with
going
me,
out-
not with
Oh
him.
my god. Listen. Oh, fuck me. Did you really say that I wouldn't try and stop you going out though?
No,
Are you
I
se-
didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I said that I would obviously not let you go out by yourself. I didn't say that you wouldn't try to stop me.
Beckett,
Listen,
she's not going
I
out of
think
the
this is
fucking
a
house, right, Beckett?
This is a fucking of course she's
No,
fucking not.
that's
Look,
not
this
true.
isn't even posturing. I'm sorry, like, hun,
You
if
are.
you ever
You are
asked me
fucking
this
posturing.
outside
I'm
this
not-
shit,
I'm gonna
No,
fucking
no.
leave. I'm going to rage quit right now. I'm gonna rage quit and I'm actually going to fucking break up with you. Like I am. I'm not joking. I'm serious. I will break up with you.
Beckett, now's the chance to call her bluff.
No, it's transmission.
I am hovering over the leave call right now.
Hang on, hear me out. Hear me out. Beckett,
Come
listen.
on.
No woman on planet Earth is ever going to dump you because you say that you're going to make her sit there while you confront the
will. I
danger.
will.
They'll
I will
never
not.
do
No,
it.
no, he's
I
being
will.
chivalrous.
I'm this close.
Stardust.
I'm this close. I am this close.
No.
Ask
All right.
Beckett.
It's all good.
Fair enough. We can wrap it here. It's all good.
No, we
Listen,
don't want
I
to see
do,
that. Come on.
I do want to say one thing because I think this is, listen, as funny as it is, I think it's a red fucking herring. Because while this is all hilarious and it's a great little fucking bring your boyfriend in and then he'll reinforce my point. The truth is, I don't think this is like accounting for cowardice. I think this is just accounting for like stupidity.
Oh yeah, then why
Like
wouldn't you do it? Then why wouldn't you do it? Then why wouldn't you take your girl with you? Why wouldn't you do it? Because that's what a fucking coward would do, right, Beckett?
Well, it's okay. Listen, you can call it cowardice if you like. I call it fucking stupidity.
Maybe it's both.
I don't know.
Can it be
Holly.
both? Can it be stupid and cowardly?
Cowardice. It's not. No.
I don't know if I'd call it cowardice. Like I genuinely wouldn't. It's the problem here is that the information that they're working on is that it's her ex-partner. I don't think they've been in a relationship very long. Like it's what, a couple of months, if that. You know, it's a radically different situation to a massively long-term relationship. It's firstly her actual ex-partner who she's been with for 11 years. This isn't just some random fucking person. And also Hunter's in the position where he's being dragged into somebody else's life drama.
Yeah.
Which is radically different. And
Yeah,
what I'd ask you is this:
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, you're calling Hunter a coward and everything else,
Yeah.
but he didn't just fucking jump over the balcony and try and escape.
Well, I mean, that's because it was a 2-story drop, probably.
I
So
don't
there's
know.
that. But not only that,
I don't
Beckett,
know.
really, the whole thing ends here with this. If your best friend, your best pal, was in this same exact situation, and you talk to him afterwards, the very first thing out of your mouth would be, "You stupid motherfucker, why'd you let that chick go out with you? Why did you go out? But at the very least, why the fuck did you let your woman go with you?" And he'd be like, "Oh, fuck." And he would say, "You're fucking dumb and you're a sissy." That's what would happen, Beckett.
I don't think I
But
would-
we didn't even disagree on this, Andrew. We both agreed that they both shouldn't have gone out in the first place.
Yeah, but is it cowardice that he had to
don't-
drag his chick with him
I don't
in order to
think
go check on the threat? That'd
He
be like
didn't
me waking my
drag her
wife up
with
in the
him,
middle of the
though.
night. It'd be like me waking up in the middle of the night. My wife's like, "I heard a noise downstairs," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll check it out. You're coming with me, right?"
we don't know if
That
that's
sound
wait, Andrew. We don't know that that's what happened.
No,
We don't know that that's the
we
situation.
do. We do have the timeline of this because
But we
this
we don't
we
have this.
do.
No, we don't have the conversation of him saying, "Hey, do you want to come with me?"
Yeah, but
don't have
why?
that.
Why was she with him?
We don't know.
Well, because he got a call while he's in the apartment. He got the call explaining that there was somebody lurking around right? And he said that he went to check it out, and she went with him.
Yeah.
So we do know. So
We
the thing
don't know
is like,
why that happened.
yeah, because he didn't say, no, bitch, you're staying here. That's why it happened.
No,
It couldn't have happened any other way. How else could it have happened? She was like, she had a gun and was like, I'm coming with you. Come on.
I think that's perfectly fucking normal for plenty of relationships. Just because I wouldn't act in that situation in that way doesn't mean
No,
plenty of other men
Ethan,
wouldn't.
No.
Are you checking out
Ethan,
the threat in the middle of
No.
the night with Stardust? Come on, dude. No, you're not. You
Are you
not
really
doing
going
that.
to act like I would let you go by yourself somewhere?
You really going to act like you have a choice?
Yeah, I do.
Look, but I think there are differences in those situations. Like again, we're talking about very specifically Hunter's situation. Yeah, I probably would act differently. But if it's something in the middle of the night, yeah, maybe. Like again, I think women should be firearm trained. Like my mum was like this when we were in South Africa. My dad is not a great
wow.
shot. It was my mum who was like the fucking shooting like to chase off robbers. Women are absolutely capable of defending themselves with firearms. I don't know if I completely agree with your narrative of it should only just be the man. You're asking what I would do, but that's not necessarily normative.
Well, I feel like I have made my case and have completed my case, and I have nowhere else to go with it.
I think you're attributing stupidity to cowardice and bad decision making. But
Beckett,
also,
all
I
I
kind
need
of
to know
disagree
is
with
how
the
you would react in the situation. I know that the acting to the
Impish
ulterior to that,
behavior.
you would consider to be pussy. That would be, you would consider him to be a fucking wuss. Beckett, come on.
Okay. Well, let's ask the other question then. Is the first response to this, like, why is it just to like come at Hunter? This is what I kind of don't get over this shit.
It wasn't the
Because
first
this is
response.
obviously quite a fucked.
Yeah, it's
Isn't it?
Conrad. At the end of the day, it's Conrad who is responsible for Holly getting shot.
Nobody is making the claim to the contrary. We can walk
That's
and chew
true.
bubble gum at the same time.
In
We
fact,
can say that
I
there's
would
no
argue-
justification for somebody to show up and do something like this, while at the same time condemning the things which led up to it and the behavior that was enacted during it. We can do both things. We can say both of these things, and we can even tell you which ones are the most wrong. It was the most wrong what that guy did.
Under
that
the
doesn't mean-
impression, right, Andrew, but under the impression that they didn't think that Conrad would be showing up with a gun. They maybe thought that he would show up, but not with a gun. Under that impression,
Who cares if they showed up with a bat or his fist?
Because under that impression, it is perfectly reasonable that she wanted to come along with him.
Oh, I see. Okay, if that's fair, then if that's your actual argument, then Beckett. If it was just a guy showing up with a baseball bat, would you go confront him with Stardust then?
We don't know that he has a baseball bat.
Right, you don't know. But I mean, assuming whatever he has, even if it's just his fist, I mean, he shows up with his bare hands.
Right.
Why in the
but
world
again,
would Beckett take you?
the smartest thing would have been, we agree, the smartest thing would have been for them to stay in their apartment and call the police.
And the most courageous thing, and you said this earlier, that you would have considered if Hunter had gone out and confronted him by himself and the guy had shot Hunter, you would have considered that to have been a courageous act. Those words came out of your mouth.
Fucking stupid.
Yeah,
massively
but still
stupid.
courageous, and that's why I say that's what a pussy is. He
Just
does the
because
opposite of what's
somebody is-
courageous.
Just because something that you do is something you can do is courageous doesn't mean that by not doing that thing means you're a coward.
Okay, so
Yeah,
stupid thing
It's
makes
a
you brave.
spectrum.
Doing stupid thing makes you brave, or
Sometimes.
is it brave because you're doing the self-sacrificial thing on behalf of the other
It's
person?
not even the
And
self-sacrificial.
that's why you
thing,
call
it's just
Holly brave. You
fucking
called Holly
dumb.
brave because she did the self-sacrificial.
Right,
thing.
but it was also really fucking stupid.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
like,
said
I
it was
think that's-
stunningly brave, right? It's really stupid when those firefighters run into those burning buildings, isn't it?
No.
Why not?
They're trained.
Why not?
Because
Well,
they're
they're trained.
They've
trained.
got the proper equipment.
Are they trained to breathe in smoke, Beckett? Are they trained for that?
No, that's why they've got respirators. I'm not saying it's not dangerous, but it's worlds of difference between a civilian with no
Sometimes
training.
they don't follow
trying to
their
do
orders.
something
They're told
dangerous.
don't go in, and they go anyway, and they save the kid, and you call them the hero anyway for disobeying, even though they did the stupid thing. This is the expectation that you have of those people. The brave among us is that they're willing to disobey in order to do the brave thing anyway. That's what makes them a hero. That's why you call Holly a hero and you don't call Hunter one. And in
I'm
this
sorry,
case,
can I ask you-
Can I ask you-
no, can I
I'm almost
ask you
done. I'm almost done.
honestly,
I'm almost done.
honestly,
I'm almost
if-
done, bro. And then you can respond. And that's the same reason that fucking Beckett is the guy who's going to go out in his underwear with the handgun or the baseball bat or whatever the fuck it is and say, you stay right the fuck there, lady, until I check out whatever this is, because that's how it works.
Are you seriously arguing? Like, and actually, like, this is a genuine question because through all the attacks on Hunter, like, it feels like if he'd got shot, like everyone would still be sitting here going, "He's a fucking idiot for getting shot." Like, I don't see a win condition.
At least be a
Hunter in
brave
this.
idiot.
Yeah, but would you be saying that, or would you be like, "Wow, what a fucking idiot"? Like,
Well, this is the
you might
thing,
wanna
right?
say,
Dumbass,
like,
that
brave
might be
idiot
true.
occasionally,
What do you
but he's
do?
still
What
fucking
do you?
dead,
But
isn't he?
wouldn't you say the
Like-
same thing with the firefighter, though? Right? The guy who runs in, doesn't save the children, gets the smoke inhalation and dies. Nobody likes the one who doesn't win, right? But he runs in anyway. If he comes out with a kid, he's a hero. If he dies inside, he was stupid. But you know, the
His-
delineation
Holly-
there,
Holly
the
is
delineation
alive.
there is really
He
just the
tourniqueted-
preference
No.
of
Holly is
how we
alive.
gauge
He
heroics.
tourniqueted her leg. He got in touch with the police. He managed to gather evidence while he
Oh,
was
what a
doing it of
hero.
what was going on, which
Wow.
is the same thing many journalists do in those situations. That's not unique to Hunter. That is a normative response for people who like
He
gather
dialed,
information.
well, so let me get it right. Oh, he dialed 911. Literally the three numbers everybody
Is
on planet
Holly
Earth can remember.
Is
So he
is
dials.
Holly
Well, she got
dead?
shot, but anyway, he dials
But
nine.
that's not the
he
answer to the
dials-
question. Is she
no,
dead?
No,
Yes
so
or
what?
no?
Hang on, he's dead. The other guy's dead. Maybe there could have been such. Are we just only concerned with only the preservation of those two lives? While I
What the
would consider,
guy? Hang
on. I'm almost done. While I would consider his life to be less valuable in that situation than theirs, you don't know what other reactions could have preserved everybody's life. You have no idea. These are all post hoc rationalizations and ad hoc rationalizations. So what I'm saying here specifically is this: the delineation point, and the reason that Beckett would go his ass out fucking side is because he knows that the way that men do things is that way. The way that they don't do things is say, well, why don't you come along with me, Stardust, and we'll go confront together. It's not how that works.
I do.
But it's not why don't you come along with me, right? Again, given that were not aware that he had a gun, right? And given that they were, this was like the daytime as well. Like you can come up with all of these speculations of what he should have done, but at the end of the day, again, you are saying all of these things after the fact. In the situation, what he did was the correct thing to do. Every single expert on active shooter situations advises them to do exactly what they did, with the exception of Holly stepping between them.
This is only if
But
you
wait-
start
And
the story
even
in the
though-
We
middle.
can all agree,
Even
though,
if
right?
it's
They should have
between
never went outside.
Yeah, you're starting.
We agree with
That's what I'm
that.
saying. You start the story in
Because-
the middle. So you're like, what you do is you start the story in the middle and you go, if we start the story in the middle, they did the right things. And it's like, well, yeah, great. I'm not granting you that we're going to start the fucking story in the
Okay,
middle.
but hold on.
Out there in the
But your
first place. We
gotcha.
didn't
That's
disagree
true.
on that.
Yeah, they should have
bringing
went
me
out.
here.
Yeah.
Hold on, your gotcha with
Go
bringing me here was, hey, Beckett, you wouldn't let her go out with you, right? It's like, yeah, but I wouldn't go out in the first place. I answered your question, which was, no, I wouldn't if I was dumb enough to take those actions. But that's not quite the gotcha you think it is, because again, I'm
No, it
not
is.
Hunter.
It's the gotcha I
act
think it
in a
is.
different way. No, it's not, Andrew. Like, I don't accept that because. Let me ask you
But
this
Hunter,
question.
but here's the thing,
were
Beckett, I
unarmed,
accept
Wait,
it.
if
I
you were
accept it.
unarmed, I don't care what you fucking accept. If you were unarmed, are you telling me you're dumb enough to go and like confront somebody who you know hates you, feels like you've stolen their partner, wants to kill you, and may be armed? Are
No.
you telling me you're that fucking stupid?
No, but I can also tell you unequivocally that if I was such a person who was dumb enough, for whatever reason, in that particular situation, to go and confront them, my wife's staying her fucking ass inside. Right, Beckett?
Okay, but so the argument here is Hunter did the dumb thing, and again, this isn't his wife. This is a girl who actually, do you know what? This is kind of an interesting one as well. If you didn't know they were armed, and your wife had a much better, or let's say your girlfriend, let's say you weren't married, you'd only been together a couple of months, and this was her brother or something, and you know her brother hates you, would you let her come down?
You mean if her brother was showing up?
Yeah, let's say her brother was like really unhappy with your relationship
Mm-hmm.
and may seriously dislike you. Like you suspect that he may want to hurt you.
Yeah.
Would you let her come with you to see her brother?
I don't know. I'm
Oh, no,
not sure.
no.
I'm not sure that that's
Because this
all
is
that
the thing.
relatable when it comes to
No,
family
I
versus if it comes
completely
to a
fucking disagree
boyfriend.
with you, because the reason Holly got shot was
Mhm.
because that she was trying again. Yes, she did the heroic thing and tried to protect Hunter, but she knew that Hunter was the one that he was after. So
Yeah.
much like if you were with your girlfriend and she was going and her brother was coming and she knew that her brother wanted to hurt you,
Yeah.
she may get hit with shrapnel while trying to protect you from her brother. Now that might be that you might argue then, well, you know,
Nah, I think it's a different dynamic between family and somebody you're fucking, bro.
But
I think it's entirely. I think it's an entirely.
No, hold on.
I think it's
Do
an.
you
Now,
think
let's
there's
say if it was the same history where they're like, my brother's a mentally ill abuser, lunatic, right? Then I would have barricaded us both in, right?
Yeah, okay, but
Unarmed?
no. But we're skipping that point. We're skipping that point. You didn't call me in here to ask if it was you. Would you barricade you both in? You brought me here
Yeah,
to
but
ask
even
whether I
then,
would
so
go out
then
on
the
my own.
extension of that, then in that situation, if it was the same history, you're just adding it's a brother instead of a boyfriend. I would still, even if I was dumb enough to go and make the confrontation, would still leave my wife the fucking side, Beckett.
Okay, but this is.
And so would you. And so would you.
Almost. But this is why it's almost a. Actually, hold on. I actually don't know if that's the case.
Well, go
If
ahead.
Star's
You would
brother
take
did something.
you would
No.
take her
If
with
Star's brother turned up, that would be a very different dynamic.
No.
This is-
That's not. Hang on. That's not what you said. So it's all the entire case is the exact same. You're just inserting now it's the brother rather than the lover, but it still has the same abuse, the same all that shit, which the chick reports to you. In this case, the sister.
Now.
Yeah, but
she
has the same exact thing. It's just with her brother instead of her lover. You would still do the exact same shit.
But it's not just her lover, is it? It's someone she's been with for 11 years. They've been together basically their entire romantic history.
Oh, come on, man. This is pedantic.
She's 29. She spent her entire 20s with him.
Yeah, this is
I don't
pedantic.
think this is pedantic.
With the brother, she spent her whole life. What's your point? It's the same situation.
My point is
you still would do the exact same thing. You'd barricade yourself in if you had no weapons, and if you didn't, and you were going to go confront, you'd leave the woman there. In both cases, you know it, I know it, Ralph knows it, Ralph's audience knows it, my audience knows it, Stardust, and we all fucking know it.
Yeah, I would barricade us in, but that wasn't your original fucking question, was it? And when you asked me that question, I clarified it immediately that I wouldn't go outside. So the point is, if Star and I had just started dating, like let's roll the relationship back, and it was her ex-husband or something that doesn't exist, by the way, before anyone gets any ideas, that they were still fucking married and they were going through a divorce. Yeah, that probably would be a different situation. Like, because again,
I mean, maybe
keep, like
but
generalizing things.
Hang on. If we were to hyper specify here and say, okay, if it didn't have any of the abuse markers and it didn't have any of that, then yes, it is a different situation. But in this case, if you're just saying all things are equal and all of those abuse markers are still there and everything else is still there, it's just now we're inserting a family member rather than somebody you were having sex with and in a relationship with, I still think we would react the exact same way in both those situations. Tell me I'm wrong, Beckett.
Okay, what's a good way to put this? I think that even if you want to make those arguments that the abuse markers are there, so it's an additional, that you've got these exceptions and everything else, I think when you look at this at the aggregate of the way that people behave when they get shot at and murdered, I don't think Hunter's actions aren't out of the realms of reality. And I will say that I think that Hunter's, the only reason this is getting hyperanalyzed the way it is because people hate Hunter Avallone. And I get hating Hunter Avallone, right? Like when he was going through his divorce, I wasn't particularly kind about him. I get that. But in this case, I just feel like I feel like it's picking at those little holes to the point where you're just like, he's just a fucking coward. But Holly's alive. He's alive. Ultimately, well, look, obviously, I don't want anyone to fucking die.
Yeah, Holly did a good job
with it.
Holly did a good job. Hunter did a bad job.
Hunter.
It's that simple.
When she got Hunter managed to tourniquet her, she was shot in the
You're
leg.
starting the story in the middle.
Dangerous, and she didn't fucking blame.
No.
But you started the story
Beckett,
in the middle as
can
well.
you and I agree on this? Can you and I agree on this? Anything that you do is ahead of your relationship. And I sure hope to God you think that you're the head of your relationship. But anything you do is ahead of your relationship, which could affect your woman and could affect your children, you're responsible for.
Tread very
Let's see.
carefully, Beckett.
But
I know.
firstly, our relationship is a partnership. Our relationship is a partnership. I'm not gonna like fuck off, Andrew. Be like, no, fuck off.
Be
Fuck
very
off.
careful. I was thinking.
Listen. I'm British. Fine. Our relationship is a
He's
partnership.
used to getting caught. Don't worry about it.
No.
Fuck all of you. Our relationship's a partnership, but
Wait,
yes,
what did
I
she just
obviously
say?
think-
Stardust, what did you just say? He's used to what?
I'm joking. I'm joking, obviously.
No,
She's
no.
mad
I
at
want
me.
you to say it
It's
again.
fine.
Say it again.
She's
say
allowed
it
to be
again.
fucking mad at me because you
Okay.
pulled me. Listen, Andrew. You and I are gonna have fucking words after this, okay? next time there is anything I can exploit.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are
I'm
gonna
gonna-
have words after this too, Beckett. Just so you know. So,
It's fine.
Find your balls, Beckett. Say that you're the head of the household.
I
and
own the
household,
fucking balls.
what you
I own
do.
the fucking balls, and my balls are bigger than his. All right.
Whew, Beckett, bro. I feel like I'm helping you dodge a bullet here,
No,
brother.
dude, I will fucking murder him. Right.
Firstly, our relationship's a partnership. Secondly, yes,
Whew.
I do think that, but I also expect Star to feel exactly the same way. And I've said this multiple times. One of the reasons that I date Star is how reliable she is, how intelligent she is. She's great
Beautiful,
at those
dude.
things. So
Get
I
that one
don't
in
need
there. I'm
to.
trying to
I
get
don't
some
need
of
to
it.
carry all the fucking burden.
Beckett, is it a partnership or is it a partnership?
What's that meant to mean?
Okay,
Do you mean
check
do we have a
your
destiny
Yeah.
relationship?
Well, I mean,
No.
like right now, while you're on air, it's a partnership. But then behind the
You're
scenes,
so-
you might be like, why don't you shut the fuck
we
up?
don't wanna-
Scuzz
we don't
Goddess?
wanna
Why
go
don't
there,
you shut the
Beckett.
fuck up? And
let's
you're
be
gonna do
real.
what I say. Like,
No,
what?
no. Let's be real. Beckett does not even want to go there because it is a partnership, and how much
It
of a
is.
partnership it is, it would be actually honestly not good for him. So yeah.
The Christmas
right.
spirit is in the
Very-
air
very
here.
It
Full
is,
of
it's
shit.
true. It's true. Have a holly jolly. All right. Look, I'll leave it there, guys. I've enjoyed very
Oh.
much the conversation. I feel like I'm gonna get Beckett killed if we keep
I think you
going.
might. Yeah, let's stop there. I do have one super
Thanks,
chat
Andrew.
for
I
you.
really appreciate this, buddy. This has been
I'm
fucking
just saying,
fantastic.
he really got you, man. All right.
Fucking Yankoy cunt.
Who did you think you were talking to? You got
Oh
I
man, he got him
literally.
so good.
You
I
fucking
knew that was
warning
about
us
to
all
happen
question
too.
was-
Oh,
And it was
man.
just
No,
got Andrew wants to phone you. Sure,
Beckett,
I don't know.
no,
fucking
Beckett,
know.
shut up. Beckett, shut the fuck up. All right.
Yeah,
Andrew,
Beckett. shut the fuck up.
Andrew and Ethan. Okay, who
I
the
didn't-
fuck did you think you were talking to?
I
Do
knew
you
what
think
was
that
gonna
I would-
happen.
You
I can
think
see it
that
from a
I
mile
would
away.
date somebody who wouldn't be able to handle how feminist I am? Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, Stardust, no man
Listen,
could come out and say they would let their woman go out with them to confront a guy with a
I-
shotgun
not-
or they'd be
not
called a
that he
pussy.
would let
Like,
me. Not
what
that
the
he would
fuck?
let
Like-
me. That he cannot
they
fucking
would put you
stop me.
down, Stardust.
Alright?
Like, what the
You
hell?
know,
Like, you can't let that
Stardust.
woman go outside with a
How-
maniac. Like,
Beckett, how many times have I been the one going out? All right, let
I'm
me
just
just
saying.
say that. All
he
right.
couldn't say that even if he would let that happen because he would look like a
Listen,
pussy to everybody.
Listen. Star is
Maybe
highly
don't-
fucking capable. No. Star is highly fucking capable.
Uh-huh.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
But that's why why is she getting
Okay,
left
so
in the house then?
The problem with
She
this
getting
is
left in the
the
house if
question
she's
is
so
how would I
capable.
react in
Beckett?
this situation? And it's probably not the same sort of like logical, rational thing with everything else because I've been in situations like this. I've seen them go fucking horribly wrong. But again, Hunter probably doesn't have that fucking experience. That's why it's a bit of an unfair question.
That's because his woman was out getting gangbanged with a camel.
That's because most people are smart enough to not get themselves into these situations
Where
in the
their
first
wife
place. I
leaves
was
them
just
to go get
dumb when I was
gangbanged?
younger.
Where their wife leaves them to get gangbanged. Now listen, I can
So-
understand if it was Carissa, maybe he'd want her to jump in front while he ran the fuck off. But if it's a chick that you like or a chick that you're with who you have some respect for or something like this, come on, Beckett. She ain't coming out the fucking door with you. That's just the way it works, bro.
He can't fucking stop me. He can't.
Oh,
I
he
don't
can
think
stop you.
Hunter could have. I don't think Hunter could have stopped Holly, and also I don't think the dynamics are the same.
Oh yeah.
I just don't.
I'm sure he couldn't have stopped her when she had a bullet hole in her fucking leg. Couldn't move her to a covered position while he stood in front of the glass door. There's no possible way, Beckett. It's just like
Wait,
there's
what's
no way he could have done
Wait,
that.
hold on. From what I can remember in the footage, like there's not a huge amount to cover anyway.
Oh yes, there is. Next to
They're
that slider.
overlooking the balcony. No, hold on. They're overlooking the balcony where the stairs are coming up so that they can see access to their front door. He's the one leaning over to get the information. Firstly, he needs to get that information to see if like the guy's coming through. And if Holly's in his position, isn't she just as fucking vulnerable?
No, she's
Because the
less
dude
vulnerable.
wasn't in the
She's
no,
in
no,
a.
the dude
She's
wasn't
in.
in the apartment at the time.
Yeah.
He didn't want to shoot Holly. They knew that he
He
didn't
was
want to shoot
looking
Holly
out
because
in
he was
case he came in. So they were looking from two positions. So he's looking from the position off to his right, which is off the side of his deck, which has an elevated, at least some kind of fence that's right there that you can see, right, which is very common for decks inside of the United States, especially if you're on a second story. But even on the first story, you'll have some type of gate around the deck, wooden gate. She would have been in a better position to be on that side while he stood in front of the glass, but instead she stood in front of the glass, even though she had a bullet wound already.
But she was also texting him at the time
So
about how
she couldn't text him
he
from a
doesn't
cover
want to
position.
kill her.
We're just
No,
having
no,
the same
about
exact fucking debate that I had with Andrew. Like,
Yeah, no, I-
were
and
All
I
right, all
just
right,
think
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think you're just running in a.
You really want to do the same exact debate with him? You know?
Amazing overtime segment on the kill stream. I have to say, there was one super chat for you, Andrew.
Sure.
Let me read this. It says, BPF's lungs, please, Andrew, we can't take any more cigarettes. You have smoked 2 packs in this debate alone. Please, we are so black. We have started robbing liquor stores, is what it says.
Fuck you, BPF's lungs.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas
I hope
to
it
you,
doesn't
Ethan.
cause any problems, Beckett. I knew that was about to happen. Impish behavior.
No,
from
I
Mr.
probably
It is
shouldn't. I
selfish
shouldn't have
behavior,
invited
Beckett.
him. I
He's right.
shouldn't have even told him. I shouldn't have even told Beckett that Andrew was asking for him to come
I
on.
knew exactly
Because
what
of
was about to
course,
happen. We're
yeah,
men,
he's just going to
Stardust.
use it as an opportunity to undermine me, right?
Of
So
course.
nice.
What?
Thanks.
That's
Beckett,
that
bro,
is-
you're in the doghouse.
You're
man.
in the doghouse. Yeah, you better
No,
start shopping
all
for
of
some
you,
nice
all of
Christmas
you are in
gifts.
the doghouse.
I didn't do
Every
anything,
single one of
Stardust.
you.
I
Andrew, we are no longer friends. I'm no longer friends with Andrew.
I
I'm no
didn't-
longer friends with Ethan.
No!
And
Wait
Beckett,
a minute!
goodbye. All right, I'm just
No!
saying.
No,
I am
wait
no
a
longer.
minute.
Wait,
I didn't do anything.
no, we're no,
That's
none of us.
Andrew.
No,
I
I'm
didn't do
done.
No, that's not
Ethan,
fair.
Ethan didn't even do nothing.
I
That
didn't do
doesn't
nothing.
matter. Doesn't matter.
I even
You're all
stopped you for
complicit.
breaking up with him on air. What do you mean?
It would have been content. Why did you stop it?
Well, because I felt bad for you. What the fuck? I didn't want to see that.
Oh, well, Ethan, I'm sorry that I broke up all of your friendships this
What
evening.
the
but
fuck,
thank
man?
you-
I can't
thank
lose
you-
any more friends.
Thank you for having me on the kill stream this evening. I appreciate
Merry
it.
fucking Christmas to all you. The
Merry
unstoppable
fucking
Stardust, the
Christmas.
indomitable Andrew Wilson. Beckett, thank you for joining us in your debut. What a hellacious debut here.
Have a great night, man.
Good night.
right.
Thank you for having
Thanks,
us,
Will.
You're
Ethan.
welcome. Merry Christmas,
Much
Stardust.
appreciated.
Merry Christmas.
All right, bye. Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Bye.
Holy fucking shit. Round of applause for the participants there. I'm getting blamed. I didn't even do anything. She sent him the link. I just said, well, if you want to, you know.
Thank you for watching this clip. This is the CAC Loaf. Remember to like and subscribe.